Marvel. The devastation of natural disasters begins. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 53. Tang Feng appears. This huge green slab could cover Mephisto's entire body. That old body was shot fiercely. The scene was so tragic that people couldn't bear to look directly. Mephisto was like a ball. He landed on the ground and flew upside down, blocked by buildings along the way, still passing through a hole. Mephisto's figure was buried in the building by the dull sound. Roar, roar, roar. The roar from the sky came. This was the exclusive shout of Hulk. His body had grown to about 10 meters, and he stood there like a prehistoric giant. There is no doubt that the people who defeated Dormammu and Mephisto before, and then killed Mordo's group of evil wizards, are Hulks who have greatly increased their power. At this moment Hulk, he already has the power of level 6, he is now God. Hulk, in other words, Dormammu killed him, and after defeating Hulk, he didn't just knock him out. Instead, he stepped on Hulk and humiliated him for no reason. Normal people can't stand this kind of thing, let alone Hulk's fiery temper. Therefore, Hulk's anger value is getting higher and higher, until it breaks through the 5th level and raises his strength to the current limit, the 6th level of the gods. At this time, Hulk already had the strength to fight against Dormammu and Mephisto. Damn it, you green fatso, you dared to shoot me. Dormammu rushed back first, looking furious, and punched Hulk with his fists raised high. Hulk reflexively punched. The collision of the two fists caused a powerful shock wave, and the surrounding buildings collapsed, and Gala, the captain and others were also swept away. Dormammu was knocked down and was no match for Hulk in terms of strength. For this result, he was stunned and shouted, "How is it possible? The source of his power is anger, and he should be eliminated simply. You have to humiliate him. The result is good, and now he has become stronger." 99 Mephisto flew up again. The former appearance was bloody, and he was no longer human. He simply gave up the human form and transformed into a hell demon, about the same height as Hulk, with a humanoid appearance, sharp claws, sharp fangs, 3 horns on his head, and thick skin covered in hard scales. He is undoubtedly very suitable for combat. It's too late to say anything now. Let's act together and get rid of him quickly. Dormammu's face was ugly. The anxious proposal said. He was not afraid of Hulk, even if he played alone. He was confident that he could win, but neither he nor Mephisto forgot that there was only one real enemy, Tang Feng, who had not yet appeared. No, actually Tang Feng had already appeared, but they didn't notice him, nor did Kayla and the others. In fact, if it weren't for Tang Feng's help, Hulk wouldn't have been able to reach level 6 so easily just because of the humiliation of stepping on his feet. Well, let's do it together. Mephisto nodded solemnly. Originally, Tang Feng didn't show himself. The man stood up and felt very uneasy. Now Hulk has changed, and his intuition tells him that things are not going well. Like him, Dormammu was not a fool and had a bad feeling. Therefore, the two of them suppressed their uneasiness and shot with all their strength, wanting to defeat Hulk as soon as possible. Next, Hulk was caught between the two. Whether it was Dormammu or Mephisto, they were both battle-hardened gods who controlled their own power very well. In terms of fighting methods, they were really not comparable to Hulk, a barbarian. The advantage that Hulk has is that he has the greatest brute force and is also very durable. Dormammu and Mephisto had a deep understanding of Hulk's power, and they were not too afraid, and used their own magic while facing Hulk. Dormammu was an excellent magician before he became the master of the dark alien space. With his current power and magic abilities, the various magics he can use are only inferior to those of the ancient magician. 1. Compared with the current Doctor Strange, he is even more powerful. Mephisto is the devil of hell, and he also knows many kinds of hell magic. That's it, they all used their powerful magic to beat Hulk and scream, and wounds kept appearing on their bodies. Because the magic attacks are too frequent and the wounds are too many, even if there is a powerful regeneration ability, it will not be able to fully recover for a while, except for the advantage at the beginning. Hulk was always defeated in battle after that. No way. Hulk is like a martial artist who can only use brute force, while Dormammu and Mephisto are like magic swordsmen who cultivate both magic and martial arts. 6 vertical bar dark destruction bullet. 35 hellfire, meteor explosion. First there was a loud bang, Hulk crashed into the ground, and then 2 powerful magic followed. The dark destruction bullet is the magic sent out by Dormammu, which is a dark sphere with a diameter of 1000 meters, crashing into Hulk. Another magic was from Mephisto, like a falling meteorite. The flames that came out were hellfire. A step back also hit Hulk and exploded on the spot. The power of these 2 magics really hit Hulk, and 2 mushroom clouds formed in the sky, causing huge destructive power, and half of the new city disappeared. In the original place of Hulk, a bowl-shaped pit appeared, several kilometers in diameter, unfathomable, as if reaching the center of the earth. At the edge of the pothole, the embarrassed figures of Kayla and others continued to climb out of the ground and saw the astonishing pothole in front of them, as well as the unrecognizable surrounding environment. The previous buildings had disappeared, only the next piece is like a desolate land that has been overturned. Kayla, the captain and others gulped with lingering fears, but fortunately, when the 3 of Hulk were fighting, they all took the opportunity to flee from the situation. If they stayed within their fighting range, they would be dead now. Hulk isn't going to die, right? Tony's steel battlesuit is already in tatters. He still chooses to wear it. It can provide some defensive power. He looked at the bottomless pothole and asked hesitantly, "No." Suddenly, this answer came from behind. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly turned around. Diana turned her head and remembered. This voice is very familiar. It is the mysterious man. Chapter 54. The 4 Great Gods. Tang Feng appeared and walked behind everyone, maintaining a calm smile. Hulk won't die so easily. As if in response to Tang Feng's words, Hulk's roar erupted from the bottom of the pothole, and the next second, he climbed up and jumped up and landed in front of Tang Feng, those big eyes filled with anger, staring fixedly at Tang Feng. What? Everyone let out a roar of surprise, because Hulk looked so miserable. One left arm was broken, and nearly half of his body was also severely damaged. If it weren't for Hulk's powerful regeneration ability, his vitality was very tenacious and he might have died. Wait, Hulk, don't. He's not the enemy. It was him who caught me before. Immediately afterwards, Diana stood up, saluted Hulk, and explained anxiously. She saw Hulk approaching Tang Feng, looking like he was about to hit someone. However, the result shocked her and everyone. Hulk didn't attack Tang Feng, but instead knelt in front of Tang Feng. Feng bowed his body, put his head on the ground, and said excitedly in a harsh tone, "Hulk, I have seen the great god of fate." 99. Tang Feng was not surprised, smiled, patted Hulk's head with one hand, and said softly, "Hulk, follow me to fight." After Tang Feng finished speaking, he retracted his hand and saw that Hulk's severely injured body had returned to its original state, and the lost left arm had also grown back. "Yes." 99. Hulk nodded excitedly. Tang Feng leaped lightly and landed on Hulk's broad shoulders, and then Hulk stood up, turned around, and faced Dormammu and Mephisto who were flying over. The real battle begins now. This situation made everyone stunned, and they didn't know how to express it, and their faces were stunned. Why does Hulk listen to Tang Feng so much? Does he also recognize Tang Feng as the god of fate at a glance? This is because Tang Feng had communication with Hulk in the unconscious dream. The birth of Hulk was influenced by Tang Feng and interfered. Every time Hulk is in rage, he can feel his power when his power increases, all from the great god of fate. All along, Hulk has actually had a secret communication with Tang Feng. That's it. For Hulk, Tang Feng is the Lord, God, and Father God. If there is anyone who can make Hulk obedient, it is only Tang Feng. As for Tang Feng, Hulk had not seen it with his own eyes, but with his instinct and the connection of strength, he was able to subconsciously determine his identity when Tang Feng appeared. These reasons are definitely beyond Tony and company's guess. You, the god of fate. Looking at the back of Tang Feng standing on Hulk's shoulders, Kayla felt dreamy, hesitated, and asked excitedly, "That's right, my god of power, do you want to follow me into battle?" Tang Feng turned his head, and under the sunlight, he smiled and extended his right hand towards Kayla. "Yes, I will." Kayla was very excited, hurriedly walked forward a few steps, extended her right hand, and shouted loudly, "Then, let's go." After Tang Feng finished speaking, Kayla has undergone great changes. Her previously embarrassed appearance and severely injured body have returned to their original state, and she has returned to the majestic female Superman. Moreover, her power has also increased to level 6. This is... Why did I suddenly become so strong? Kayla looked at her hands in surprise, feeling the unprecedented power, and said suspiciously, "The source of your power is to absorb sunlight. This is the power I give you. I just used the power of time to adjust your time to decades later, so you suddenly became stronger. This is your power decades later, and it is also your own power. However, time is not so easy to interfere with. I can only make you stronger temporarily. After the battle, the influence of time will disappear and you will lose the power of level 6. Tang Feng raised his mouth and explained, "This is undoubtedly a way of cheating, Ajay, to temporarily increase Kayla's power." "That's right." Kayla suddenly nodded, then flew towards Tang Feng, facing the god of fate whom she truly believes in. Even if Kayla has a very strong heart, she still feels at a loss, just like ordinary people facing high-ranking officials. "Kayla Kent, you saw the god of fate." Finally, Kayla knelt on Hulk's shoulders and paid tribute to Tang Feng. "We have already met and shared a lease, don't be so polite, get up," Tang Feng said and stretched out his hand. Kayla's face was stunned. After Tang Feng said this, the memories that had been protected in her mind were finally revealed. The past events she met with Tang Feng were replayed in her mind scene by scene. "I see. It turns out that the god of fate has always been by my side and has been paying attention to me." Kayla suddenly realized this. Feeling flattered, she reached out, took Tang Feng's hand, stood up, and stood beside him respectfully, a step or two behind. "By the way, the female goddess of war and the female Aquaman, are you willing to fight with me?" Then, Tang Feng continued to look at Diana and Mara and invited them. "I am willing to follow God's fate against evil." Diana tilted her head and thought about it, and said seriously, what she meant by her words was that she was willing to fight against evil. If she followed Tang Feng to do bad things, she would not do it. Tang Feng shook his head and smiled, not taking her words to heart. He pointed at her, snapped his fingers, and saw that Diana suddenly became stronger, with a level 6 power. Diana was shocked by Aurora's voice. She could feel that divine power was constantly pouring into her from various artifacts, activating her divine blood, making her immediately possess the 6th level power and become a true goddess of war. "This is the power you originally have, but it's still in a deep sleep. It's up to you to automatically wake up. Now I will help you wake up in advance," Tang Feng explained. "Diana, like the Hulk, can rise to the same level as him because of his influence. I'm also willing to fight you." "Then, can I also become that strong?" Mara was very excited as she watched and asked with anticipation. "Definitely. Take it," Tang Feng definitely said. He stretched out his hand. Aquaman's trident appeared out of thin air in his hand, and then he threw it to Mara. Mara's eyes widened. She vaguely guessed what the trident was, and when she reached out and grabbed it, she felt a powerful divine power pouring into her body, activating her divine blood and causing her to awaken. Just like Diana, Mara has a 6th level power. Chapter 55, The first shot is a big move. So far, under Tang Feng's operation, Hulk, female Superman Kayla, Wonder Woman Diana, and female Aquaman Mara all have the power of level 6 and follow him to fight together. Tang Feng stood on Hulk's right shoulder, and female Superman Kayla flew over and was on Tang Feng's right. Diana also flew over, in the air on the left. Mara held Aquaman's trident and controlled the huge waves formed by the water flow. She stood behind Tang Feng with a lively look and looked at the two powerful enemies of the gods approaching. Dormammu and Mephisto flew nearby, first looking at Tang Feng in fear, and then they were surprised that Kayla and the others had also suddenly become stronger. After being surprised, they subconsciously wanted to escape. Originally, the enemy they expected was only Tang Feng, the god of destiny. They thought that with the strength of the two of them, they should be able to fight Tang Feng. But he did not expect that Tang Feng was not fighting alone, but he had 4 helpers of the same level. The god of fate is really calculating. From the beginning, you should have planned it. We are like ignorant children, ignorantly falling into your trap, naively thinking that if we join forces, we can fight you. In fact, we never had the slightest chance of winning. Odin sees this clearly, which is why he does not agree to join forces with us. Mephisto shook his head with a sigh and said with a wry smile, "Why do you say so much? Even if you die, you have to fight." "And say it again," Dormammu said harshly. "They have no way out. Since their different dimensions were integrated into Blue Star, from then on, Blue Star has been their home in the past. So can they abandon home and run away? Impossible. In Blue Star's home, they still have an inexhaustible source of power, and they are still 6th-level gods. If they were to abandon their home and flee to the boundless universe, they would no longer have the power of the gods and could only maintain the power of the 5th level. However, in the face of Tang Feng, can they escape without the power of the gods? No, absolutely no successful escape. Hit, can't beat, escape, but can't escape. This is a dead end. Both of them know this clearly. As gods, they have their own arrogance. Even if they die, they will not shake their heads and beg their tails for mercy. You are right. The reason they joined forces to invade Blue Star was indeed secretly seduced by me. Unfortunately, Odin did not join because of the warning of the Eternal Spear, which prevented him from being seduced. But, it doesn't matter, he will die sooner or later anyway. I will kill you now. 99 You are absolutely wrong about one thing. Do you think I have 4 helpers to kill you? 55 No, even with Odin, in a 1-on-3 situation, I can beat them all. 99 Tang Feng smiled contemptuously, a mere 6th-level god, and he didn't really take it seriously. Under the great power of destiny, as long as he spends some effort and time, he can manufacture them in large quantities. Hulk, Gala, Diana, and Mera are the proof. Hateful. Even if you are very strong, God of Fate, you were originally only level 6, so don't be too arrogant. Dormammu felt humiliated by Tang Feng's words and shouted angrily, HMPH, it's also level 6, but the combat power is different. I know you don't believe me, so let me see how powerful I am. After Tang Feng pouted, he stretched out his hand, and 2 small energy balls appeared in his palm, one black and one red, and then he threw them in the direction of the 2 of them. The 2 energy balls flying in the air suddenly increased in size, reaching the size of 10,000 meters, turning into 2 giant energy balls. Dark Sabotage, 39 inches Hellfire, Meteorite Explosion. Dormammu and Mephisto shocked roar at the same time. The 2 energy spheres that Tang Feng is sending out now are undoubtedly their magic tricks. And, the power is more powerful, exaggerated to 10,000 meters of energy spheres. If they do not try their best to resist, they will be destroyed into slag. They did not dare to neglect it, hurriedly shouted, and the power erupted, using the same dark destruction bomb and hellfire, meteorite explosion, attack. However, the magic tricks they used with all their strength were around 7 or 8 kilometers at most. Compared to the 10,000-meter energy ball that Tang Feng easily sent out, there was still a gap. 0. Ask for flowers. Boom, boom. In the end, 4 giant energy balls collided in the air, and the 2 larger energy balls could be seen, in a slow and unstoppable trend, not only devouring the 2 small energy balls, but also putting pressure on Dormammu and Mephisto, then exploding. This was an explosion that was even more astonishing than a nuclear explosion. It was so powerful that it simply destroyed the rest of the new city. The aftermath of the explosion spread farther away, until it continued tens of thousands of meters away. Just stop. When the explosion ends, if you look at the blue star from the universe, you will find a conspicuous bowl-shaped trace on the surface of the blue star. Is everyone okay? 0. When the dust cleared, Diana appeared for the first time. She used the power of the Divine Shield and the Guardian Silver Bracelet to protect Tony, the captain and others in time before the explosion. Okay, it's fortunate that you came to the rescue. 35 Tony hasn't fully recovered yet. He really felt like he was dead just now, and now his body is still trembling with fear. He said gratefully to Diana, "Roar, thank you." The captain was also very uneasy and thanked Diana. The rest of the group also thanked Diana. Suddenly, applause came from the sky in the distance, and Tang Feng's words came at the same time, as expected of Dormammu and Mephisto. Both of them survived. Just after Tang Feng finished speaking, in the center of the explosion, the figures of Dormammu and Mephisto appeared. They were all seriously injured, their bodies were severely damaged, and they were all out of human form, like some pieces of meat barely stuck together. However, due to the integration of heterodimensional space, although the upper limit of their power can only reach the peak of the 6th level, the energy is endless. Thus, with the support of the omnipresent energy around them, their defective bodies quickly return to their original state. Yes, you are very resistant to blows. If you are not killed with a single blow, it will be very difficult to kill you. Hulk, Gala, Diana, Mera, just go play with them first and familiarize yourself with the power of the next 6th level. Tang Feng flew off Hulk's shoulder, floated in the air, hugged Moon Hung with both hands, and said loudly for a long time. Chapter 56, I got slapped in the face just for retaliating. Roar. Hulk loyally responded to Tang Feng's words, without the slightest hesitation. With a loud roar, he leaped into the air, spanned a distance of several hundred meters, and punched Dormammu. Following Hulk's attack, the other 3 women also attacked. Gala is also attacking Dormammu. Mera and Diana are attacking Mephisto together. Although they had not discussed it beforehand, they all had a tacit understanding and chose the 2-on-1 tactic. The battle this time is a battle of a total of 6 gods. Compared with the crushing result caused by Tang Feng's shot before, the current battle scene is undoubtedly very fierce and astonishing. The power of the 6th level, if it hits the blue star, can destroy the planet at any time. However, none of the 6 people in the battle had the intention of destroying Blue Star, and they only tried their best to hit the opponent with their strength. 023 and Tang Feng, guarding Blue Star on the side, always kept Blue Star without showing any signs of collapse. It's just that the tens of thousands of miles around New City, including the entire New City, were further devastated by the aftermath of the battle, becoming what people imagined after a nuclear explosion or a crater on the moon. Be careful. Run away. No, it's getting closer. Hurry up and get farther away. When the 6 people fought endlessly in the sky, Tony, the captain and others fled for their lives in embarrassment. What's embarrassing is that the battlefield of the 6 people, no matter where they hit, there is no absolute battle center, and they can move around. Because of this, they could only keep an eye on the battle above, and if they felt that the battle above was approaching them, they would have to flee for their lives. Tang Feng floated high in the sky, looked down, shook his head and smiled, ignoring these superheroes who were urging their lives to escape, and continued to watch the battle. I saw the battlefield between the 2 sides, with 2 enemies and 1 situation, allowing Kayla and the others to have the upper hand, putting pressure on the 2 demon kings to fight. Dormammu roared again and again, just blocking Hulk's fist, and when he flew back, Gala punched him, followed by a ray of heat, icy breath, fists. These continuous attacks. He managed to block these attacks with great difficulty, and Hulk came up again, crushing his fists madly, beating Dormammu to death, screaming in pain. He didn't even remember how many times his body was destroyed, but it was only because of Yuani's constant force that he quickly recovered each time and returned to his peak state. Mephisto has the same experience. He is good at using a series of hellfire magic, but he encounters his nemesis, Mera, who controls water and becomes a true female Aquaman. The water she uses is not ordinary water, but divine water. She controls Shinshui and uses various water magic to block Mephisto's magic. As for Diana, the goddess of war, she fought hand to hand, and with her superb fighting skills, she abused Mephisto so severely that she was choked and beaten. She didn't know how many times her body was cut by the Vulcan sword. If it were against Diana alone, Mephisto wouldn't be so miserable, but it was 1 against 2, with Mera involved in her energy, and she concentrated on fighting Diana at all. TSK TSK TSK, it's so sad. While eating popcorn, Tang Feng admired the miserable appearance of the two demon kings and let out a laugh of schadenfreude. Moreover, he would nod in satisfaction from time to time, which was his gratitude and affirmation towards Kayla and the others. With two gods as opponents, the four Kayla, who had the power of the 6th level for the first time, gradually controlled their own power during the battle. Fighting is indeed the best way to control power. When they are familiar with the power of the 6th level, they can be regarded as good helpers. After this time, they can also take the four of them into the universe. Tang Feng rubbed his chin to think about what happened next, killing Dormammu and Mephisto, then Odin, then all the gods hidden in the 9 realms, and finally fighting against the universe. The more gods he kills, the fate of this universe will fluctuate greatly, and he will be able to extract enough resources from it to sustain himself. As long as the plan is successful, it will not be a problem to upgrade to level 7 or even level 8 in just a few decades. When Tang Feng was thinking about the future, the battle between the two sides had already changed. Dormammu has stabilized the disadvantage. Although he is still in a state of being beaten, it is no longer the situation where he was beaten to the end at the beginning. Hulk is still as violent as ever, but Kayla's power is beginning to decline. After all, he has only temporarily upgraded to level 6, and his power will slowly fade over time. More than an hour has passed, and Kayla's strength has not dropped to level 5, but is gradually declining, and has begun to beat Dormammu's blows. Because Kayla is not strong enough, Dormammu can breathe, smile, and has infinite strength. He can completely drag Kayla to death. The same is true for the other side's battle. Diana and Mira are activated because they are divine blood, plus Tang Feng's influence. They truly have the power of level 6 and will not fall again. However, his divine power is not infinite, and as time goes by, the consumption of energy slowly becomes unsustainable. Compared to them, Mephisto is still inexhaustible, and he can use as much as he wants. Just like a local tyrant who is not short of money, he just squanders wantonly. Boom! The hellfire suddenly rose up, finally suppressing the huge waves and the sea. I suppressed them for so long with 4.8. Now it's my turn to fight back. I want you to remember one thing deeply. Now the blue star is also my territory. When I'm here, I have infinite power and will never die. 99 Mephisto's power erupted, and in terms of momentum, he had already suppressed the two girls' momentum and shouted for joy. He finally turned into a servant and sang, "It's not easy." Next, he wants to take revenge and beat the two girls. No matter how miserable and cruel he is, he will come back. Just after thinking about it, the smile on his face suddenly froze and his body froze. A clean hand was brought from behind to the front of the U-hung. Mephisto coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood and finally remembered who the real enemy was. Chapter 57 The Revenge of Death. Tang Feng made a move. As soon as he did, he pierced through Mephisto's lunar Hungarian. His hand was like a sharp artifact. Farewell. Just hearing Tang Feng's soft sound, the power of destiny in his hand burst out and instantly swept through Mephisto's entire body. As if there was a humming sound, inexplicable fluctuations appeared, and Mephisto's face froze, turning pale, full of disbelief. How is it possible? It should be immortal. Mephisto looked at the hole in Moonhung's mouth, and could see that from the hole, it turned into ashes little by little, until it spread throughout the body. Mephisto completely disappeared without a trace as soon as he came and said these two words. His body and soul have been erased from this universe. The power of destiny is so overbearing and powerful. No matter how strong you are, if you have the ability of immortality and immortality, as long as you are weaker than Tang Feng, you will all be dead. It's like death magic. Did he die? Both Mira and Diana were stunned. Their eyes widened and they were stunned. Seeing that Mephisto never reappeared, they had to accept the fact. Mephisto was indeed dead. The gods of the same level as them killed Tang Feng in seconds. When they came back to their senses, they couldn't help but gulp. They looked at Tang Feng in shock and astonishment. There was only one thing left to do. The thought in their hearts, worthy of being the greatest god of fate. Next, it's you. Now that he has made his move, Tang Feng doesn't want to delay any longer and simply wants to kill Dormammu. When Mephisto died, Dormammu already knew about it. He noticed the signal that Tang Feng was going to attack him and was immediately frightened. He roared loudly, exploded with all his strength and swept away Hulk and Kayla at once, then pushed his hands forward and used all his strength to form a protective shield. However, a white hand seemed unstoppable. It pierced through the shield and then touched Dormammu's body. "Disappear," Tang Feng said softly. "That's right. As expected of the god of fate who controls everything in the world." Before his body disappeared, Dormammu finally felt the power of fate, and he also knew how Mephisto was killed. He sighed and whispered, and his entire body turned gray. With the death of Mephisto and Dormammu, the traces of their fate in the universe are completely erased. All living beings don't notice this kind of thing. Even the gods, who are only level 6 or level 7, are not aware of it. But at level 8, it is a multi-dimensional level, and these powerful gods have the ability to perceive. Damn it, the souls of 2 more gods are gone. In the darkness, there is a voice that I don't know if it is male or female. It sounds very angry. This god of fate is too good at being a god, and even killing a god will wipe out the god's soul. What he has done is too great and has caused me a great loss. No, I have to teach him a lesson. When the voice finished speaking, another voice interjected. "Death, are you really going to do this? You know, he can't die. You bullied him when he was weak. When he gets stronger, he will take revenge." After remaining silent for a while, the previous voice continued to say in an angry tone, "I am death, even fate can't kill me, so I'm not afraid of his revenge. I must teach him a lesson, or I won't be able to swallow this breath." Obviously, as the god of death, in the long years, he has always been high above and can decide the life and death of all living beings with a single word, treating all living beings as chess pieces and playing freely. No one dared to offend him. Whoever offends him, whether intentionally or unintentionally, has taken away his soul. Tang Feng completely killed Mephisto and Dormammu without even keeping their souls, which is very excessive. As death, all living beings who died, including the gods, should belong to him. Now Tang Feng is doing this, which is a provocation to Death's authority. Therefore, Death did not listen to the advice and insisted on teaching Tang Feng a lesson. However, although he is stubborn, in his heart he is really afraid of the powerful force of destiny. He knows that Tang Feng is already one with destiny and it is impossible to kill him. Even if he can suppress Tang Feng and bully him now, one day in the future, there will come a time when his strength will increase and he will become the master. Therefore, even if Death is angry, he has to teach Tang Feng a lesson and does not intend to act himself, because he does not want to offend him severely, leaving room for him. In this way, when Tang Feng becomes stronger in the future, he will at most fight and take revenge, and will not become a mortal enemy. After thinking about it, Death did not think much and chose Thanos from this universe. Under the influence of Death, Thanos' strength increased little by little, and according to Death's instructions, he set out to find Infinity Gems in advance. Regarding Death's revenge, Tang Feng has not yet learned that Death is an 8th level existence after all, and with his current strength, he cannot interfere with Death's fate. After Tang Feng killed the 2 gods, he simply cleaned up the mess. He stretched out one hand and closed the other. The invisible vortex appeared in the palm of his hand, and the 2 different dimensions integrated into the blue star were stripped away a little again. 023 come back with me. Just listening to Tang Feng shouting, it seems a little difficult. This is very weird. He made the action of throwing things and threw them into the sky. The 2 different dimensions seem to have been thrown away, separated from the blue star and returned to their original places. Roar roar roar. He didn't expect it to be so difficult. Tang Feng roar was angry and felt tired, which was the reason for the excessive consumption of power. Dormammu and Mephisto became gods because of their different dimensions. It is also because of the support of different dimensions that they can be immortal and have infinite power. Therefore, compared to their strength, the different dimension is the most powerful. Coupled with the vastness of the alien dimension, with Tang Feng's current power, it is difficult to destroy an alien dimension. If you wait for the anomalous space to be completely integrated with blue star, it will be difficult. At that time, Unless it is destroyed together with the blue star, the alien dimension can be destroyed. In any case, although it was a little more laborious, it still allowed Tang Feng to handle the end game. He snapped his fingers, and the new city, which had been destroyed, completely reappeared. As for the dead, there is no resurrection. Dead, really dead. Chapter 58 The Terrible Shield. It's really scary. I didn't expect that just after a trip, New City would be invaded by aliens, and most of the people in the city died. Many of my classmates also died. On the third day after the invasion, at around 3:30 in the afternoon, Gwen held Tang Feng's hand and was wearing black clothes that symbolized the funeral. Her face was very sad. She had just attended the funeral of her dead classmates. Yes. Tang Feng pretended to be sad and nodded. Along the way, the people coming and going looked sad. Many of them were wearing black mourning clothes and were coming and going in a hurry. The streets that used to be crowded with people have now become very wide, and the people have become sparse. During the invasion, more than 10 million people died, including locals in New City and tourists from various countries. This is undoubtedly a huge event that has shocked the entire world. New City and Marvel. Bigger, more people, no problem. During these 3 days, not only New York held funerals, but also in other countries. Give me a newspaper. 35 Even if so many people died and such a big thing happened, the work that needs to be managed must still be done. As long as people are still alive, they must move on and try to live. After passing by the newspaper stand that was opened, Tang Feng bought a newspaper, read the report, and smiled. The newspaper reads, "The death toll, the alien invasion, the victory of superheroes, the tragedy of New City, the death toll of tourists from various countries, etc. Fortunately, we took a trip 3 days ago, otherwise." Gwen also looked at the newspaper, fearfully, and said with lingering fears. In her memory, 3 days ago, her family and Tang Feng traveled to another city, just to avoid the alien invasion. Well, it's really good luck. Tang Feng nodded and said softly, not only Gwen's family, but also Aunt May went on a trip and traveled with him. Duplication is a simple matter. Look, the store opposite has already opened. Let's go buy something to eat and fill our stomachs. Tang Feng pointed at the restaurant that opened the door in front of him. The food in this restaurant was pretty good. He had the impression of throwing the newspaper into the trash can and dragging Gwen along. The newspapers that fell into the trash cans were turned page by page under the breeze. All the previous reports did not mention that New York was destroyed and rebuilt. People all over the world, including the locals, have subconsciously ignored it, as if they were watching a movie, focusing only on a wonderful fight, and not caring at all about the damage that the fighting city will suffer. However, the superhero who experienced the invasion personally remembers it very clearly. This is also the power of Tang Feng, who did not interfere with these people's thinking. As for why Tang Feng specially rebuilt New City, it was only because it was a familiar place and he didn't want it to disappear. Plus it was Gwen and Aunt May's home, so it was rebuilt. So why should the world's memory of rebuilding New City be erased? Just because this kind of thing is too shocking, even more shocking than the alien invasion, and he didn't want the world to randomly speculate, so he did it. This is Tang Feng's subconscious behavior. Even in a parallel universe, he still regards the same blue star as his hometown in his heart. As a native of my hometown, I definitely want my hometown to be peaceful and peaceful. Therefore, these things he did, ordinary people who are not important do not need to know. Let the world live an ignorant life. Only superheroes are qualified to know what Tang Feng has done. For example, the fact that the Himalayas are half shorter is ignored by the whole world and only superheroes know. What a terrible god of destiny. At the Avengers headquarters, Tony looked terrified, slumped on the sofa, muttering to himself. The captain, Diana, Dr. Banner, Nick Fury and others, all gathered here, equally frightened and frightened. 3 days ago, after Tang Feng dealt with the endgame, he disappeared on the spot and left without giving any orders. Therefore, the so-called 4 gods each find their own mother. I have tried all kinds of methods, but I still haven't succeeded in telling the ordinary people about the God of Fate and the truth of the invasion incident. As long as I mention it, those people will hear what I said as something else. and they must be the hands and feet of the god of fate. Nick Fury said with a trembling voice. The ordinary people he speaks of include members of the World Parliament, including those in power in various countries. This is the powerful power of the god of fate. If he doesn't want us to know about it, we will be like ordinary people, always ignorant of the truth of the world. Doctor Strange took a deep breath. Feeling very weak, he said, "Everyone in the world is drunk, but I am the only one awake," which sounds very artistic, but it would be terrifying if everyone was kept in the dark and only they knew what the truth is. No matter what they say, ordinary people don't believe it, they just think they are crazy. What scared them even more was that Tang Feng didn't even tell them, as long as it was related to the truth of the invasion incident, or mentioned the destruction of Vertical Bar New City, it would be automatically blocked, so that ordinary people would hear those other words, no matter if it is written with a pen, posted on the internet, or any other means. It has not been successful. After all kinds of failures, superheroes are like the protagonists in ghost movies. They have a kind of fear of ghosts and shudder. Everyone, listen to me. Since the god of fate doesn't want ordinary people to know, then let's forget it. Don't try it. Diana Rohr took a deep breath and shook her head. How can it be like this? Ordinary people also have the right to know about these things. It's wrong for the god of fate to do so. The captain subconsciously blurted out, "Okay, then." When he saw everyone smiling helplessly, he also smiled helplessly. So what? God of fate wants to do what? He has no ability to interfere. In this way, the captain no longer speaks. Alas, we have no choice but to think about the existence of the god of fate, so let him go and end the meeting. I'll go first. Finally, Nick Fury shook his head and sighed, waved his hand and walked away, looking very lonely from behind. Knowing Tang Feng's power clearly, he really had nothing to do, and he didn't even think about summoning the magic Captain Carol, that would only send her to death. With Nick Fury's departure, everyone fell silent and left with a dejected face. Diana flew through the air, looking down at the desolate new city, which was not as lively as before. Thinking of the number of people who died, she felt suffocated. She made a decision in her heart and flew in a direction. Chapter 59 Conditions for Resurrection. Although Tang Feng had appeared in front of everyone, but, with the intelligence sources of S.H.I.E.L.D., I couldn't find any information about Tang Feng. If you want to find Tang Feng in New City, no matter what method you use, no matter who it is, there is no way to find Tang Feng. Even if Tang Feng stood in front of them, they would turn a blind eye. Obviously Tang Feng and Gwen, or with Mai, go out shopping every day and live, and they will subconsciously ignore the past. As long as Tang Feng doesn't want to be found, no one can find him. Therefore, even if they knew that the god of fate existed in the world, after the invasion, the captain and others tried to find the true god. After many failures, they realized that the true god could not be found. Therefore, they gave up the idea of finding Tang Feng and communicating with Tang Feng. Originally, it was impossible for Diana to find Tang Feng, but in her heart, when she had a strong desire to meet Tang Feng, she had some guidance and told her where Tang Feng was. Diana followed the guidance in her heart and flew towards a wide, sparsely pedestrian street. On both sides of the street, most of the shops were still closed, and only a few shops had reopened. The shop that opened the door was the lucky one that survived the invasion. 99% of the shop owners who had not opened their doors had died. Diana was heartbroken when she saw this situation, and mourned for the dead, and her thoughts became firmer. She saw Tang Feng's figure. In a cafe, Tang Feng was drinking coffee with a blonde beauty, chatting intimately, like a couple. Seeing this kind of unexpected situation, she couldn't help but be taken aback for a moment. Is he really the god of fate? Are you in love with a mortal woman? This kind of thing is so surprising. Diana thought in surprise and flew towards the cafe. However, with her flying speed, she should have flown to the cafe immediately, but in fact, she was unable to fly to the cafe. She frowned, and stopped in doubt. She also found something strange. Obviously flying in such an eye-catching air, the people below ignored her, as if they didn't see her. Diana tried to fly down, successfully landed on the ground, and then walked in front of a person, waving her hand and calling roar, but she didn't respond. She was stunned. She had a ghostly feeling, and then she saw the pedestrian continue to walk without turning around and directly hit her. Ajay. She subconsciously reached out and pushed, and as a result, the two figures penetrated, as if her body had become transparent. Diana hurriedly looked back. The pedestrian still didn't notice anything, and walked forward without knowing anything. When she touched, it was indeed a real touch, not an illusion. In order to confirm the idea, she touched the street lamp in the wall of the store, which was also a real touch that she couldn't penetrate. What a weird thing. This is Diana's idea. She and the people around her seem to be in two-dimensional worlds, living together, but they can't touch each other. Diana wanted to try to walk to the cafe, but she still didn't succeed, so she understood that it must be Tang Feng. She is not stupid. Knowing that Tang Feng doesn't want her to bother her now, she gave up the idea of approaching the cafe and waited. Half an hour later, Tang Feng's business was finally busy. Goodbye. Tang Feng and Gwen said goodbye and snapped their fingers until Gwen's back disappeared. As soon as the sound of snapping fingers fell, Diana had a feeling of reintegrating into the world, and the place she was in changed. She appeared on the top of the Stark building without warning. My goddess of war, what do you have to do with me? Tang Feng stood on the edge, looking at the ant-like scene below, and asked, Great God of Fate, I have something to ask for. Diana stepped forward and respectfully pleaded towards Tang Feng's back. Tell me, what's wrong? Tang Feng raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. Although he felt the strong emotion of Diana wanting to meet him, he didn't understand the reason. It would be boring if everything was known in advance. I beg you to resurrect all those who died in the invasion. Diana knelt down and said what she wanted to say. Resurrection of the dead? You think too much. How can people be resurrected from the dead? That is an act that disrupts the order of the world. Moreover, there are too many people to be resurrected. Even as a god of destiny, you can't do it so recklessly. Tang Feng frowned subconsciously, waved his hand and said, he knows that this is the Marvel world. There are many true gods. There are also 5 gods, and the Court of Life. The mysterious and powerful god of the Court of Life, similar to the existence of a judge, maintains the balance of the universe. If Tang Feng acts too recklessly and destroys the balance of the universe, he will be invited to appear and take action to suppress him. In addition to the Court of Life, death among the 5 gods is also a god that Tang Feng fears. If Tang Feng resurrects the dead, he will steal the soul from the hands of death. No matter how you think about it, it is also a very offensive thing. Therefore, although Tang Feng rebuilt New City, he never thought about resurrecting the dead. So you can do it? Is there any difficulty? Diana heard it, first disappointed, and then asked hesitantly. Yes, if I do this, I will offend a powerful god, and there will be additional risks. So, don't think about resurrection, and I won't do anything that is harmful to me. Tang Feng said, waved his hand and turned to leave. Wait, the great god of fate, this is the life and death of more than 10 million people. Please think carefully. If you can agree, no matter what the cost, I can bear it myself. Diana hurriedly stopped and said very sincerely, in order to save the dead, she already has the consciousness of giving up her life, which is what she should do as the goddess of justice and peace. Cost? The price of resurrecting the dead is too high for you to bear. Tang Feng stopped, looked at Diana, shook his head and said, Really not? Diana asked reluctantly. Seeing that Diana was so stubborn, Tang Feng was speechless, bowed his head for a moment, and then looked at Diana carefully. If you insist on letting me resurrect the dead, it is not impossible. As long as you swear that you will serve me wholeheartedly and do things for me in the future, then I can bear the price and resurrect the dead. Chapter 60 The Resurrected Man. The resurrection of more than 10 million people who died is only possible to attract the attention of the Court of Life, not necessarily to attract him to appear. It is not impossible to snatch the dead soul from the hands of death and offend death. Tang Feng is afraid of death, but he is not afraid of death. Anyway, he cannot die, and the highest price is to be beaten. Well, he must not be suppressed. If he dares to do this, when he becomes stronger, he will pay back tenfold. With the wisdom of death, I believe he will not be so reckless. Therefore, Tang Feng could bear the price that Diana could not bear. However, this is a benefit that must be worth it. If Diana is willing to serve him and become his right-hand man from now on, then Tang Feng can also agree. Diana thought about it for a long time and finally made a decision. In order to save more than 10 million lives, she nodded firmly. Tang Feng smiled, stretched out his hand, and said, "Welcome the true return of my goddess of war." "Yes, my god." Diana sternly changed her name to Roar, put her hand on Tang Feng's hand, and stood up from the ground. "So, I will bring people back to life now," Tang Feng said, smiled at Diana, turned around and stood on the edge of the roof, looking at the surrounding ant-like scenery. The supreme destiny and powerful force condensed in his hands, the wind blew violently, and thunderclouds and lightning suddenly appeared. The originally calm weather began to change greatly when Tang Feng wanted to resurrect dead men. This is the power of destiny to disrupt the order of the world, thus triggering these changes. If it is a world like the Great Desolation, before Tang Feng resurrects dead men, there will already be a heaven to stop him. Compared with the way of heaven, this court of life, which maintains the order of the universe, is too lazy to show itself. Dead, come back to life. Tang Feng's strength condensed, his face was confident, his clenched fist immediately opened, and he pushed forward and pressed down. Immediately, the gust of wind stopped, and the thunderclouds and lightning also stagnated. A lightning bolt could be seen falling down. It stagnated, like a spear of lightning. It was a very strange situation. The entire blue star also stopped moving. Just like time stopped, everything in the world stopped moving. In everyone's concept, it is ignorant, completely unaware of the changes around him. Tony was flirting with Pepper Potts, his outstretched hand floating in the air. The captain was fighting the terrorists and rescuing the hostages. The shield he threw out stayed in front of a terrorist. He also jumped into the air, staying still, as if the stop button had been pressed. Everyone is like this, even Diana, standing behind Tang Feng, is no exception. The difference is that with the 6th level power, Diana can more or less maintain some awareness of the outside world and perceive the inexplicable changes. The same is true for Mara. She looks suspicious. Her body is still stagnant, but her bright eyes are spinning. In front of her, there is a group of Sea Tribe warriors, and the leader is her brother. Today, she finally arrived at her fellow tribe. However, it was Mara who deliberately leaked her whereabouts. Now that she has become the true god of the sea, there is no need to hide. This situation only lasted for a second or two in the senses of Mara and Diana, and then she recovered. The sky turned blue again. A ray of sunshine shone through the white clouds, dazzling and dazzling. The breeze was gentle, and there were birds flying in the sky, calling out happily, "Old lady, come here and help me." In an old house, the old man who would have died alone was no longer alone. He shouted while cleaning the room, "Coming." The wife responded and slowly walked over. "Careful, come, move this table a little." The old man gave a careful order, and a ridiculous thought suddenly appeared in his mind. Is my wife really dead? This is so ridiculous. People get confused when they get old. Mom, look, am I okay? Wow, it's so beautiful, my little baby is amazing. 35 not bad, my little angel will definitely be a great craftsman in the future. Giggle, that's definitely. The family of 3 who originally died, the empty house, has now regained its lively popularity. 0 beep, beep. The horns kept honking in the city, and the new city blockage began to occur daily. Oh shit, there's another traffic jam and I'll be late for work. The office worker sat on the bus, scratching his hair helplessly, and said angrily, "Hey, honey, do you want to play together? We have a good place to play." On the crowded streets, 3 hooligans were whistling and pestering the beauties passing by. In front of them, pedestrians hurriedly dodged them, revealing a look of disgust. Someone is stealing, hurry up and dispatch. The police car was moving fast, the police lights were on, and 3 police cars were chasing after a robber's car. Where there is crime, there is a good, righteous neighbor, Spider-Man. The 3-generation Spider-Man came over on a swing, but he did not immediately help, but stayed on a building, took off his mask, and looked dazed. He looked at the people around him, So many, so many. This lively situation was something that only happened before the invasion. My God. He didn't know how to express his shock, excitement, disbelief, and it felt like a dream. The second generation, the third generation, all the dead have come back to life. Yes, I know that too. It's really incredible. Who is it? Who is it? This last question. Okay, I have complied with your request. Then it is time for you to fulfill your obligation to serve me and be loyal to me. Tang Feng lifted Diana's chin with one hand and said with a smile. Diana felt something and her face flushed red for a long time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 61 Thor is demoted. Brother Wang, do you really want to do this? The street, which had been crowded with people again, had become a mess, and pedestrians were fleeing in panic. In the middle of the street, Mera was surrounded by a group of sea warriors, and the leader was her brother, holding a water Thor nearly 2 meters long, with a fierce and murderous expression on his face. This is what happened after the resurrection ended and the stagnation of time eased. Unlike what Mera imagined, today is not a happy day for brothers and sisters to gather together, but to kill each other. Brother Wang undoubtedly did not come to pick her up, but to kill her. This cruel fact made Mera feel very sad. Very sad. Very sad. Why can't I inherit the throne, just because I'm a man? You know, I'm the eldest brother. From the concept of the humans 027, the heir to the throne should be me. I really hope that the ancient rules of our sea tribe are the same as those of humans. 39 Unfortunately not. It's clear that I have more ability to inherit the throne than you, but I have no chance. You are worse than me in any aspect of ability. You didn't want to inherit the throne, so everyone ran away privately, but our queen, including the majority of the Sea clan, still wants to take you back and inherit the throne. 99 It's ridiculous. When I led the sea soldiers out, I swore in my heart that since you don't want to be queen, then I will. Then please die. Mera's brother gritted his teeth, raised the water spear, and was about to attack. Brother Wang, do you really want to do this? This kind of thing can't be hidden. Even if you successfully kill me and return to Atlantis, you won't be able to take the throne. Instead, you will face trial. 99 Our mother won't let you go. Mera sadly recalled. Ha 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 ha, I definitely thought about the consequences. However, we have already made plans. 35 Do you think that after so many years, all the sea tribes are willing to bow their heads to your county of women? No, it wouldn't be like that. Many sea tribes are very dissatisfied. There are 7 tribes in Atlantis, 4 of which decided to rebel and overthrow the queen's rule, vowing to overthrow this unreasonable ancient rule that only women can inherit the throne. They will elect me to be the new king and start a new chapter in Atlantis. At that time, as the king, I will lead my tribe to set foot on the land, conquer the humans, and become the ruler of the world. Alm's expression was frantic, her hands raised high, and she shouted out her ambitions. That's right. Unfortunately, no matter how ambitious you are, it will never come true. Thank you for your 35 I will escort you back now to quell the rebellion. 99 Mera was very anxious when she thought of her mother facing the danger of encirclement and suppression. She took a deep breath and had no time to be sad. She stretched out a hand, and Aquaman's trident, like Mjolnir, flew out of her residence and fell into her hands. Looked at Aquaman's trident, dumbfounded. Could it be Aquaman's legendary trident? Just thinking of this idea, I saw Mera wielding Aquaman's trident, summoning a huge wave and tsunami, sweeping him and all the sea warriors into the vortex, and immediately suffered heavy losses. Damn it, how could this be? Aquaman's legendary trident artifact has been missing for many years. When did you find it? Was lying on the ground in embarrassment, coughing up blood, and asked with a look of unwillingness. This is the power that fate has given me. Mera explained, walked up to him with a cold face, and swung down with the trident, knocking him unconscious. It's time to return. He grabbed Ohm, manipulated the water and lifted it to fly, and looked at New City longingly. Before leaving, he called Kayla to report, and then ran along the river, merged with the sea, and rushed into the depths of the sea. Point 3 Next, I will kill all those false gods who are 99 still sharing the house with Kayla. Tang Feng and Diana's move is over for the moment. Tang Feng held Diana in one hand and made his plan. What? My God, I beg you, please forgive Godfather Zeus. 35 Diana was startled by roar and hurriedly pleaded, it's my decision and will not change. However, it is your request after all, and I will not ignore your feelings so ruthlessly. 35 So, I will reincarnate Zeus's soul and not kill him completely. Tang Feng said, lifted Diana's chin with one hand, and warned without hesitation, this is the greatest concession I can make, and it is also my kindness and tolerance towards you. 35 It is best not to go any further, it will only make me angry. Diana was silent for a moment, sighed, nodded, and pursed her lips. I see. She knew that if she didn't serve Tang Feng and be his god, Tang Feng wouldn't care about her thoughts at all, and Zeus would be dead. Now, Zeus still has a chance to be reincarnated, which is already a good result. Therefore, she wisely stopped asking, so as not to anger Tang Feng, and it would be too late to cry. Very well, that's good. Let's continue. Diana blushed upon hearing it. Asgard, Thor for committing the crime of trying to provoke war, which is unforgivable, I hereby declare that you will seal your divine power and be demoted to the lower realm. From now on, whoever lifts Mjolnir will be the next Thor. 99 After Odin announced it in public, in Thor's shocked face and in everyone's confusion, he threw Thor and Mjolnir together into the blue star. Hey, is this old immortal already taking care of the funeral? It's already night time at Blue Star. Tang Feng looked at the meteor in the sky, curled the corner of his mouth and said to himself, Chapter 62 The Death of Odin. Great, my stupid brother was sealed with divine power and demoted to the mortal world, which means that he was automatically stripped of his qualifications as heir to the throne. In this way, I will be the sole heir of the king of God. The evil god Loki, his title is also called the god of fire, also called the god of cunning, is a bad guy full of evil ideas. He originally wanted to instigate Thor to attack the world of the ice giants. This is to provoke a war in private, and Thor will bear the responsibility for the consequences, and he will definitely be punished. In this way, Thor has this black mark on his resume, and if he wants to inherit the position of King of God, there will be twists and turns, and it will not be so easy. And as long as he gets in the way and uses some tricks, it is possible to expel Thor and ascend to the throne of King of God himself. Unexpectedly, things would go so smoothly, and before the plan could really begin, and for some unknown reason, Odin suddenly appeared. Odin knew about his private plan to attack the frost giant world. Then, Odin expelled Thor. Loki really didn't expect Odin to act so decisively. He couldn't help but wonder, could it be that he has been thinking wrong all the time? In fact, Odin 09 is not biased. Thor is not the absolute heir. In Odin's mind, is he the same as Thor? This idea was completely shattered when Tang Feng broke into Asgard alone. Odin knew of Thor's aggressive temperament, so he expelled him to Blue Star in advance, both for experience and to avoid Tang Feng, because he was afraid that he would attack Tang Feng and fight to the death. Odin knew that even if he gathered the power of the 9 realms, he would not be Tang Feng's opponent. Dormammu and Mephisto teamed up to fight the enemy, and Tang Feng was killed by Tang Feng. How could he be Tang Feng's opponent just because of his aging and the so-called power of the 9 realms? On this day, Asgard was no longer quiet. A black hole appeared in the sky, deep and dark, like a hell from the abyss. Tang Feng's figure stepped out of the black hole step by step. The sky seemed to be the earth, supporting him and standing proudly. This astonishing scene undoubtedly alarmed all the Protoss. One by one they opened their eyes wide and raised their heads nervously. Who is that person? Loki stopped in the palace hall. He was going to go to Odin and show his filial piety, but this happened unexpectedly. Loki, protect your mother, hide with the people, and plan to evacuate. No matter what happens, don't interfere. In the future, Asgard will be protected by you and Thor. I hope you can work together to help Thor." Odin, riding a Pegasus, holding the Spear of Eternity, and wearing the God King armor, stopped in front of Loki for a moment, finished speaking with a serious face, and then flew towards Tang Feng. Loki hurriedly turned around and looked at Odin's retreating back, worried, unwilling, and angry. Worried, because Odin said that there is no chance of winning. You can imagine how terrible it is for the enemy who suddenly broke into Asgard. As for unwillingness and anger, he felt deceived. With his wits, it was easy to associate the cause and effect of Odin's words. It turns out that you knew in advance that a powerful enemy was invading, and then found a reason to expel your brother, because you were worried about his safety. But you didn't expel me and keep me in Asgard? Did you never care about my life? With this thought in mind, Loki got into the horns, and when he rushed to the mother's residence, he looked back at Tang Feng's figure. At this moment, instead, he had a malicious idea of wanting to watch Odin die. "Are you taking the initiative to die?" Tang Feng stood high in the sky. The black hole was behind him, rotating clockwise, slowly closing, and Odin rode a Pegasus and walked over. "Great God of fate, I beg you to stop your wanton killing. Beyond the 9 realms, there are many powerful gods. With your strength, you also need help when facing the invasion of some stronger gods. So, we shouldn't kill each other," Odin persuaded sincerely. "Ridiculous. Even if I need help, I won't be your old man. No matter what gods invade the 9 realms in the future, I will let them come and go, so you don't have to worry about this kind of thing. You can lead to death obediently." Tang Feng shook his head and smiled, and with a flick of his finger, a small ball of energy flew towards Odin, and in the midst of flight, the ball of energy suddenly swelled up to 10,000 meters. Huge amounts of energy spheres, covering the sky of Asgard, pressed down on Odin's seemingly insignificant figure. As a god king, even if you know that he is not your opponent, you will not give up your resistance. "Destroy me." Odin raised his head and looked at the huge amounts of energy balls, the figure sitting on the sky horse, very stable, without the slightest panic or fear. I saw him shout loudly, raising the Spear of Eternity in his right hand, making a throwing stance, condensing all his strength, and after 3 seconds, the Spear of Eternity was finally thrown out. Carrying all of Odin's power, the Spear of Eternity radiated a dazzling light, like the legendary sun-shooting arrow, piercing through huge amounts of energy balls with an unstoppable momentum. Moreover, the Spear of Eternity has not stopped, and continued to stab at Tang Feng from 027. Tang Feng stretched out a hand and clenched tightly, resisting the power of the Eternal Spear with a powerful force of destiny, and supported his body. "Good artifact. You shoot me too." 35 Tang Feng flipped the Spear of Eternity, pointed the tip of the spear at the Odin's figure and threw it out. Odin's pupils dilated, and he felt the fatal crisis of death. Danma held him to quickly dodge, but the Spear of Eternity had the ability to block the enemy. Unless it was intercepted, it would not stop unless it hit the target. Blessed with Tang Feng's power, the power of the Eternal Spear was stronger than that used by Odin. After only a few seconds, the Eternal Spear chased after Pegasus. With the power of thunder, it pierced Odin's body from behind. Above the sky, Pegasus screamed in pain, and the Spear of Eternity pierced Odin's body, bringing out a touch of hot blood that dyed the sky red. The Protoss below, Loki, who had just left the palace with his mother, and the Asgardian Heimdall of Bifrost, all showed shocking expressions. Immediately afterwards, there was uncontrollable gloom and panic. God King Odin, under the witness of his own eyes, was easily killed by Tang Feng. Chapter 63 Killing the Leopard God. Next, it's the turn of the Leopard God, who fell into a deep sleep. Tang Feng looked at the falling corpse of Odin, whispered softly, and the figure disappeared and left. "Father." Loki came with his mother and stared at the dead Odin lying on the ground, with obvious sadness on his face, but also a kind of happiness in his heart. Just like the prince who had succeeded in his plan and was about to become king, Loki crouched on top of Odin, groaning bitterly, looking towards the future. Although I don't know why Tang Feng suddenly came to kill Odin, why he was so strong, but after killing Odin, he left without continuing to destroy or kill. In this way, Loki felt relieved, thinking, As long as he doesn't provoke Tang Feng, then he will just stay in Asgard and rule the king. It should be stable. However, Loki was too happy too early. Even though Thor was sealed with divine power and demoted to the realm, there are still many people who bow to Thor as the God King in their hearts. When all the Protoss knelt in front of him, Tang Feng was relieved and thought, as long as he doesn't provoke Tang Feng, then he will only stay in Asgard and rule the king. It should be stable. Odin's body and Morning cried, like four of Thor's good comrades. They looked at each other silently, and they had already made up their minds to go to the Blue Star to find Thor and inherit the God King. As the news of Odin's death was transmitted, an invisible storm gradually gathered. The originally stable 9 worlds, some worlds were about to move. For example, the frost giant's Jotunheim is an ice world. Another example is the dark elf Svartalfheim, which is a desolate dark world. And another example is the light elf, the Warner Protoss, the undead world. And so on in the 9 realms. Without Odin's suppression, ambitions among everyone had the idea of overthrowing the Protoss, Ezra and be the masters of their own. As the frost giant who has always been restless, he has already taken the initiative and began to gather his army. A war to invade Asgard is approaching soon. At this time, Loki took on the role of the God King temporarily, leading the Ezra gods in preparing for war. The 3 warriors of Asgard and Sif, while Heimdall opening one eye and closing the other, they passed through Bifrost to Midgard in the 9 realms, that is, the Blue Star, to find Thor. When Loki found out, he was very angry and sent the destroyer to chase him down. Thor's plan, although there have been some changes under the influence of Tang Feng, is still progressing slowly. On this side, Tang Feng came to Wakanda, the hometown of Black Panther. Tang Feng stood high in the sky and overlooked the entire Wakanda. It was a familiar and unfamiliar scenery, and he couldn't help but sigh. He was undoubtedly nostalgic. No matter how good this world is, he is just passing through. After all, he wants to return to the original world. After thinking about it for a while, he came to the birthplace of the heart-shaped grass, which is the forbidden place of Wakanda. The heart-shaped grass can be regarded as a kind of strengthening serum. If you eat it, you can successfully transform your body and become a super soldier. In fact, the heart-shaped grass is just an ordinary grass. The reason why it has such a strong effect is because it has received the power of the leopard god and has become different. The leopard god is called Bast, and it is through the action of the heart-shaped grass that it can indirectly control Wakanda when it is sleeping. However, he did not expect, and for this reason, to bring him a real death. I sensed the sleeping alien dimension of Bast. The leopard god Tang Feng stood beside the heart-shaped grass, closed his eyes for a moment, and then smiled to himself. The heart-shaped grass has the power of the leopard god Bast, and there is a connection between the two. As long as you follow the vine, you can find the resting place of the leopard god. Definitely, even if there is a connection with the heart-shaped grass, it is impossible for ordinary gods to find a place to sleep. Unfortunately, Tang Feng is not an ordinary god. He is the god of destiny. The grandeur, mystery, and power of destiny are higher than any power system. I saw Tang Feng slowly draw a circle with his hand in the air and open a portal. Then, he stepped in, and the portal immediately closed. This is a desolate world, the land dry, without the slightest plant, without the survival of life, without the breath of life. The sky is gray and there is no sun. Tang Feng stood in this world and frowned, feeling very depressed. What a boring world. Baster, the panther god, come out and lead to death. In this kind of world, Tang Feng didn't even want to stay for a while, so he quickly killed and left, shouting loudly, Who dares to break into my domain? Courting death? As soon as Tang Feng finished speaking, a majestic voice swayed, the earth trembled, and then the rumbling sound rose. The leopard god with a leopard head and body, that body more than 10 meters tall, emerged from the ground. Tang Feng spoke lazily to him, his figure flashed, and he came to the leopard god's forehead and stretched out his fingers. The fluctuation of the power of destiny immediately erupted. The leopard god Bast's body froze, his face froze. 2 leopard eyes stared at Tang Feng's figure in the center of his forehead, some reluctant, some disbelieving. some regretful, some deathly silent. A gust of wind blew, and the leopard god's body turned into ashes and dissipated. Tang Feng took one last look at this desolate world, then opened the door again and left here. This time, the world originally desolate, with the death of the leopard god, it is really empty. Back in Wakanda's forbidden area, Tang Feng looked at the heart-shaped grass on the ground and could feel that the power of the leopard god Bast had been disconnected. In this way, this is the last heart-shaped grass with strengthening power, and the heart-shaped grass that grows after that no longer has a strong transformation effect and becomes an ordinary grass. Tang Feng retracted his gaze, looked in the direction of Wakanda's capital, and sighed. After all, it was not that Wakanda, and he did not feel the mood to reunite with his old place, so he simply left. The process of slaughtering the gods did not disturb Wakanda, but instead quietly came and walked silently. What's next for heaven, or Zeus? Tang Feng's figure appeared high in the sky, holding his chin, thinking to himself, can't find it? Interesting, very interesting, as expected of a heaven that has always been mysterious. 99 Tang Feng searched carefully and said in surprise, perhaps it was because the heavenly court had an 8th level power protection, so it prevented his investigation. In this case, he temporarily spared heaven and went to kill Zeus first. Unlike heaven, Zeus's hiding place is easy to find. Tang Feng came to Paradise Island, stood on the island, looked up, and with his vision, he could see that there was a different dimension. Chapter 64 The Tragic Rebirth of Zeus. The alien space that Tang Feng saw was where Zeus was hiding. With a swish, as Tang Feng punched down with one hand, a crack in the alien dimension opened up, and he truly showed up. Then, Tang Feng stretched out two hands, penetrated the spatial crack, and opened it to both sides, like opening a door. The spatial crack that was originally small and long expanded to both sides. Then, Tang Feng stepped in. The birds and flowers are fragrant, the air is very refreshing, the green scenery is verdant, the jungle is lush, the mountains are steep, all kinds of beast roars can be heard, the shadows of beasts passing through the jungle, and in the blue sky, there are also eagle-like raptors in flight. Tang Feng has just entered the alien dimension, and what he saw is this scenery. What a paradise! The place where Zeus is hiding is thousands of times better than the leopard god's alien dimension, and he will enjoy it very much. On the highest peak, there is a majestic temple, which is modeled after the temple of Zeus in the world. Living in the temple of Zeus, there is not only Zeus, but also more than a dozen false gods of Olympus who survived, including hundreds of beautiful women. These women definitely serve the gods for pleasure. Life is really unrestrained, and it is obviously a pseudo-god who persists, so it should be worthy of the name. In the temple of Zeus, Zeus had a daily entertainment program with the gods. Hundreds of beauties frolic around the gods, all of them dressed very attractively, fine clothes, bare feet, dancing. The sudden appearance of a sentence shocked the gods, and the happy program was interrupted. Boom! The gate of Zeus's palace collapsed and flew straight towards Zeus. Thunder! 35 Zeus hurriedly pushed away the woman beside him, stretched out his hand, held the lightning-like lightning artifact, and struck out a real bolt of lightning, which immediately shattered the temple gate. Who dared to offend the king of God, the great Zeus who is the king of heaven? Zeus changed his clothes in seconds, put on the divine clothing armor, the scepter in his left hand and the lightning bolt in his right, stood up from the throne, looked in the direction of the temple gate, and shouted sternly in a tone full of divine power, "It's me." Tang Feng replied softly and stepped into the temple gate, and one of the remaining false gods turned into ashes on the spot. As the other foot entered, another surviving pseudo-god turned into ashes. Following him along the path, he took a dozen steps, stood in the vast hall, and faced Zeus. All the remaining false gods, and those so-called beauties, all turned into ashes and disappeared without a trace. All dead. "It's you, god of fate?" Zeus was startled by roar, and couldn't help but take a few steps back. He collided with the throne behind him. There was no way back, so he had to stop. He recognized Tang Feng's identity and was undoubtedly afraid. Seeing the scene where all the false gods turned into ashes also made him fearful and desperate. "I don't remember offending you," and my daughter Diana has followed you, so we should be our own people. Why do you want to break into my kingdom and kill?" Zeus roared in confusion. "It's ridiculous. Don't you have a reason to kill an ant?" "Oh, if you really want a reason, then I'll tell you, so you can understand. Because killing you is good for me. So, I'm here to kill you." Tang Feng's words echoed in Zeus' temple, only to see his figure appear in front of Zeus without warning, giving Zeus no time to react. A finger has been gently tapped on the center of Zeus' forehead. Jing, Ji and the invisible wind, Ajay, have stopped. Zeus' face also frowns. Tang Feng's figure is reflected in his pupils. He wants to beg for mercy, but there is no chance. Just a second later, everything returned to normal. The wind blew again, and Zeus' body turned into dust and was blown away by the wind. The scepter, the thunder and the divine clothing armor fell to the ground, and Tang Feng took the divine weapon thunder with a wave of his hand. Although Zeus is dead, his soul still exists. An invisible black hole appears and is about to suck the soul. In front of the black hole is the legendary world, Hell, the realm of death. Tang Feng reached out a hand and grabbed Zeus' soul in time, covering it with the power of destiny, shielding Zeus' soul fluctuations and deceiving the call of the realm of death. Because Zeus' soul was not detected, the black hole soon disappeared without a trace. "Forgive me, please let me go. 35 I'm dead, let me go to the realm of death. Don't kill my soul." Zeus' soul was crying and begging Tang Feng for mercy. "Don't worry, I won't destroy your soul. If I wanted to kill you completely, I would have done it a long time ago, and I wouldn't have to do anything unnecessary and keep your soul behind. The reason why you have the opportunity to reincarnate is because your daughter asked me to." "Thank you, Diana." Tang Feng said the reason why he spared Zeus's life, and then clenched his hand tightly, and the power of destiny sealed Zeus's memory. "When I opened my palm again, I saw that the originally colorful soul had turned into a pure white appearance, only the size of a table tennis ball." Tang Feng walked out of Zeus's temple with the soul ball, snapped his fingers, and Zeus's temple turned into ashes. Then, Tang Feng walked out of Zeus's god realm, returned to the present world, spread out his palms, looked at Zeus's soul, smiled for a moment, and finally threw Zeus's soul away and quickly disappeared. Under his fate, Zeus's soul will be reincarnated into a woman. Fate is eventful, and life is full of tragedies. Zeus's new life will be a technical woman, who will accompany her throughout her life. Thinking of Zeus's tragic life in the future, Tang Feng laughed happily. When Zeus's memory was revealed and the whole truth was known, what would it be like? I'm looking forward to thinking about it. Because of this, Tang Feng did not erase Zeus's memory, but temporarily sealed it. The loud laughter resounded through the sky, and Tang Feng's figure had disappeared. Instead of returning to New City first, he went to Atlantis first. On Paradise Island, the enshrined statue of Zeus suddenly cracked and fell into pieces. This kind of thing shocked the priest and then all the female warriors, including Diana's mother. Chapter 65, Crushing the Rebellion. Deep under the sea, the Atlantis rebellion began. The rebel army surrounded the entire city under the sea, and with an absolute disparity in numbers, they had the upper hand and were pressing down on the queen's forces and fighting fiercely. If the rebel army relies on the reformist tradition of war, while the fanatic attack is like a broken bamboo, it advances steadily. Seeing that the queen's army is unable to withstand it, it will be defeated. At this critical moment, a torrent enveloped the figure and rushed into the battlefield with extreme speed. The surrounding seawater was controlled, forming a large number of vortexes, which swept away all the rebel troops. For a moment, the sound of slaughter on the battlefield stopped completely, and the rebel army and the Orthodox army separated from each other, staring blankly at the figure in the middle of the battlefield. She was Mayra, who returned without stopping. "Your rebellion cannot succeed. Orm has been defeated by me and will be judged. As for you, if you surrender now, then I promise that your crimes will be forgiven." After Mira finished speaking, she stretched out her hand and hooked it into the distance, and Om was swept away by the seawater and fell in front of the panicked rebel army. The rebels were at a loss for a while. The new king they elected was defeated by Mira, and now that Mira is back, will they continue to rebel? The patriarchs of the four tribes were pondering and contemplating. They were very hesitant, not knowing whether to continue or listen to Mera's words and choose to surrender. If they continue to rebel, they have just seen Mera's power and have no confidence to fight. If they choose to surrender, they are not very willing. I advise you not to resist to the end. Listen to her words and surrender. 99. To their surprise, who seemed very depressed, sighed and persuaded them to surrender. You can't beat her. Have you seen the trident in her hand? That's Aquaman's legendary artifact. Poseidon, holding the artifact. She is a legitimate Aquaman, and she has the power of a god, and she cannot resist it at all. Seeing the surprised and bewildered faces of the four patriarchs, smiled wryly and shook her head, explaining, "Trident artifact?" The four patriarchs shouted loudly, and the rest of the rebel army also rioted, looking at the trident in Mera's hand with a look of panic and respect. Is right, it is the trident artifact. Mera nodded and shouted, holding the trident, showing her power. I only heard the sound of turbulent sea water rolling, layer after layer squeezing from all directions, like a towering wall, crushing all the rebels. This astonishing scene not only frightened the rebels, but they screamed in fear on the spot, dropped their weapons, and the great roar surrendered. Please calm the new Aquaman, we surrender. The four patriarchs hurriedly knelt down, paid homage to Mera, and shouted loudly, very well, you made a wise decision. I accept your surrender. Mera had no heart to kill, after all, she was from the same clan, so she accepted the surrender like that, and with a wave of the trident, the sea returned to normal. Mother, I'm back. Mera flew in front of the queen, who was majestic just now, but now she was restless, like a child who has done something wrong, waiting to be punished. Just go back, you really didn't let me down, don't be so willful in the future, because you are the new Aquaman and you have a heavy burden on your shoulders. 35. How Atlantis will survive and develop? These matters are entrusted to you and you decide. The queen did not scold Mera for running away without permission, but instead stood in front of Mera and helped her tidy up her clothes, exhorting her. I see. Mera nodded vigorously. She did not say anything intentional about not making Aquaman. After some experience with humans, she has matured a lot and understood what responsibility is. Originally she was the heir to the next queen, but now she has the trident, and with the power of the gods, she will definitely be the new Aquaman. 0. Aquaman is the belief of Atlantis, and the existence of Aquaman is the embodiment of Aquaman Poseidon in the world. Rebelling against Aquaman is rebelling against the gods they have always believed in. No one dares to think or do this kind of outrageous thing. Okay, I didn't expect my daughter to be Aquaman one day. It seems that you are right in choosing to run away, otherwise, you won't be able to find the divine weapon trident. 0. All of this must be Aquaman's arrangement. Poseidon. The queen smiled and was very excited, hugging Mera and saying excitedly, no, mother, you are wrong. It is not Aquaman's arrangement. Poseidon, it is the arrangement of the god of destiny. Mera said with emotion. Tang Feng's strength, appearance, and reliable back that gives people a sense of security will never be forgotten in her life. After the invasion, Mera had been waiting for Tang Feng's summons again. To her dismay, Tang Feng never summoned her. A few days later, Mera ascended the throne as Aquaman. Atlantis returned to peace. Also received due punishment. Her mother also abdicated to become a virtuous person, and she can live a free and comfortable life. Mera is definitely the first Aquaman, and she is unfamiliar with many things. The queen will give advice on the sidelines and will not ignore it. On this day, Mera finished her work, went out for a walk, and finally stopped at an underwater cliff, sat down, held her chin. Her eyes were blank, she didn't know what she was thinking, and sighed from time to time. What's wrong? What is my Aquaman sighing for? 35 inches. Are you not satisfied with your current Aquaman life? Suddenly, such a sentence came from behind Mera. Mera turned her head sharply and watched Tang Feng's figure for a long time. Chapter 66. The Incredible Things. Ah, God of Fate? You. How did you suddenly appear? No, why did you suddenly come to me? As soon as she saw Tang Feng, Mera stood up in a panic, looking overwhelmed, speaking a little incoherently, too suddenly and too excited. I wanted to see you, so I came here. What? You're not welcome? Tang Feng looked at Mara like this and wanted to tease her, deliberately looked into her eyes and said, welcome, definitely welcome, as long as it's you. You can come to see me at any time. I miss you very much these days too. Mara believed it and believed it. At first she couldn't believe it. Then she was secretly glad, bowed her head shyly, and then gathered her courage and said the sincere words 030. Tang Feng was shocked and raised his eyebrows, as if he had touched the girl inadvertently. Alas, it's all because he is so attractive, and beautiful women are automatically delivered to the door. In this case, he will push the boat along the way, and it will be wrong if he makes a mistake. Taking a few steps forward, he grabbed Mara and the two of them sank into the depths of the sea. The sea is turbulent and undulating, and there is darkness beneath the depths of the sea. A large number of schools of fish and all kinds of schools of fish swim up to it. There are two great gods below. These fish do not dare to disturb or look. As for what happened, the fish did not dare to look, nor to say it, nor to think about it. The sea is sometimes gentle, sometimes violent and volatile, but Tang Feng can suppress them all. Finally, the sea returned to calm. Mara closed her eyes happily and leaned beside Tang Feng. I came to see you because there is one more thing I told you to do. Tang Feng lit a cigarette and smoked it one by one, and said to Mara, what's wrong? You said, no matter what it is, I will do it for you. 55 Mara nodded without hesitation. Whether Tang Feng is personal charm, irresistible strength, or actual combat, she is completely convinced. In front of Tang Feng, she is not a majestic Aquaman, but a gentle and well-behaved little woman. It's not too embarrassing for you. Atlantis has lived in the deep sea for too long, and it's time to set foot on land, communicate with humans, and get in touch. Tang Feng was very satisfied with Mara's attitude. Don't say anything, he said slowly. On land? Mara didn't expect such a thing. She was stunned for a moment, then nodded and said, okay, just do as you said. Although he wondered why Tang Feng should be concerned about Atlantis landing on land, he did not ask any further and chose to support her unswervingly. Good. 35 Tang Feng smiled, and in order to reward Mara for being obedient, he sank back into the depths of the sea with her. This is my palace. Afterwards, Mara took Tang Feng to visit her Aquaman palace. She was very excited, smiling and looking very happy, seeing Aquaman's unusual appearance. All the guards and maids were stunned and looked at Tang Feng in amazement. This is where I work every day. This is where I sleep. This is where I eat. This is my little garden. 5 In modest words, it is a small garden, but the actual situation is a vast sea of coral flowers, in which all kinds of fish are playing, like a fairyland. This is my custom. Mara took Tang Feng all the way to introduce him, and finally came to a place to soak in hot springs. This is a real volcanic hot spring. There is an active volcano below, lava is flowing. The hot spring water was a bit hot, but Mara and the others were not ordinary people, so it was okay. Huh? Is this really appropriate? Tang Feng blinked, intentionally reminding her, but after thinking about it, he didn't say anything because he thought it was funny. Besides Mara, everyone says that women in love have a negative IQ, which is true. She was so happy that she ignored her mother's existence and didn't notice at all, so she brought Tang Feng to visit her. Sure enough, only after time seemed to stop for a few seconds, Mara's mother, this beautiful and mature woman named Ilana, let out a loud cry. Mother, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I forgot about you for a while. Mara also cried out in surprise, kept apologizing, and pulled Tang Feng out in a panic. When Tang Feng was brought out, she turned her head and continued to stare openly, blinking at Ilana, revealing a sinister smile. For Tang Feng, there is nothing to be ashamed of, and worldly rules cannot restrict him. Ilana watched Tang Feng being brought out angrily and embarrassedly. She was really dumbfounded. How many years had she not seen a man? I don't even remember. I didn't expect to show it to Tang Feng now. Unable to calm down for a long time, Tang Feng looked back at her evil smile and blinking movement, all deep in her mind. She seemed to have been poisoned and turned into a nymphomaniac, and she can't forget it. It was love at first sight. My God, is he the god of destiny? A great god? Or the daughter's man? Atlanta reluctantly calmed down, and after walking out, after listening to Mara's introduction to Tang Feng, she felt darkness in her heart. If it's a great God, it seems like it's possible to serve together or something. God, what the hell am I thinking? Atlanta thought of repairing 4.8 embarrassingly in her heart, embarrassed, and kept reminding herself that when facing her daughter and Tang Feng, she felt uneasy, restless, found a reason, and left in a hurry. Tang Feng looked at Atlanta's back with a smile on his face. In fact, it was he who was secretly doing something wrong. Atlanta was thinking so wildly and so new in the spring. Who calls him the god of fate? What he wants to do, it's too simple. Mara noticed that Tang Feng kept staring at her mother's leaving back. She remembered what happened just now. I thought about it and thought of some things that would be caught. Surprisingly, her heart did not resist. In other words, no matter what Tang Feng wants to do, she will not resist. Next, Tang Feng's days in Atlantis were wonderful. Chapter 67 Changes in the world. The blue sky, the white clouds floating quietly, the seagulls flying and singing, the sea is calm, and the fishermen are driving their fishing boats and are docking. To see the happy smiles of the fishermen, it was a good harvest day. Come on, Jotun boy, haven't you seen enough of the sea? Don't you miss those gentle women? On the way back, an unshaven sailor, Hammer, saw that Jotun was still looking at the sea, took a few steps forward, patted him hard on the shoulder, and said jokingly, "Uncle Ham, you, look." Jotun was no longer in the mood to mock his words, but stared intently at the sea, as if he had seen something incredible, pointed a finger, and shocked Roar. "What?" Ham said doubtfully, turned his head to look at the sea, and then was stunned on the spot, and couldn't help but say Roar. My God, 39 God. Alien invasion? Then, not only did the two of them see it, but people noticed the situation on the other side of the sea one after another, and they were shocked. They couldn't help but panic. In the sea, a tsunami was set off, and a large number of huge sea beasts emerged from it, and the people of Atlantis stood on it. From this day on, from this moment on, Atlantis, which has been living in the deep sea and humans didn't know it existed, finally set foot on land and communicated with humans. The continent that Atlantis set foot on was the coastal border of Country M. So Country M took the lead in reacting, sent troops to prevent the possibility of war, and also sent representatives to negotiate with Atlantis. In fact, before Atlantis set foot on the continent, it had already contacted Country M, so Country M was already prepared. If there is no accident, the first contact between Atlantis and humanity will not be a war, but a peaceful negotiation. In the consideration of Country M, Atlantis is an unknown and mysterious marine clan, and will not start a war without authorization unless it is a last resort. Moreover, Mara is the Aquaman of Atlantis, with her current level 6 strength. If it were not for the Avengers behind her, perhaps Country M would have become a weakling. The basis of peace is the equal power of both sides. If one side is strong and the other is weak, there will be no peace, only war and conquest. Led by Mara, followed by a group of Atlantis clan members, they first nodded to the Avengers and others standing on the side, and made a roar motion, and then spoke to Country M. The Avengers and others stood on the side and watched silently. Their role was to deter and prevent the occurrence of war. As for the negotiations between Atlantis and Country M, they would not interfere. Although Mara was an enemy of theirs before, but since the invasion incident, they all fought side by side and are no longer enemies. At least, from that day onwards, there were no more conflicts between them and no more fights. Just do their own thing. With the Hydra members of the Injustice League killed, Green Goblin, Lightning, and Dr. Lizard defected, Injustice was literally dead. The most important thing is that Tang Feng really appeared. The ideal pursuit that Kayla had dedicated her life to, after Tang Feng appeared, is no longer important. She is now a salted fish, waiting for Tang Feng's summons at any time, waiting for orders, and that's it. Because Tang Feng hasn't summoned her yet, she is now traveling everywhere, or revisiting her old place and sighing in her memory. She had a hunch that when Tang Feng summoned her, it would be the day she left Blue Star. The negotiation between Mara and Country M lasted for 3 days, and a series of things were finally negotiated. During the live broadcast, Mara and Country M signed an alliance agreement, which was witnessed by the entire world. The history of mankind will mark this momentous moment. From this day on, the high-intelligence race of Blue Star will no longer be the sole domination of human beings, but the marine race of Atlantis will be added. However, Blue Star's changes are not over yet. When Atlantis set foot on land, it signed a peace treaty and peacefully coexisted with humanity. It is also an unknown paradise island, and under Tang Feng's will, it also began to come into contact with humans. Diana, as the representative of Paradise Island, her mother has already abdicated to become a saint. As a new generation of queens, she shoulders the burden of survival on Paradise Island. Without a doubt, when Diana led a group of female warriors to Country M, it attracted the attention of the entire world and shocked her. With so many female warriors, the so-called Paradise Island is simply the country of legendary daughters. Although the women of Paradise Island are very different from ordinary people, they are humans and women, so compared to the Atlantean Sea Clan, humans are more likely to accept the existence of Paradise Island. During the talks, there were no accidents. Just one day later, the peace contract was negotiated. Diana and Country M, in the live broadcast, in the eyes of the whole world, smiled and signed their names together. My God, she is so beautiful, she is the goddess of legend. There are men all over the world who are howling, so beautiful, whether it is Mara or Diana 030, they are all in line with the goddess in their hearts. Therefore, no one can rest assured, even if they are both women. Many have become fans of the two women. If you let them know that the goddess in their hearts are all women who are also Tang Feng, they should collapse. In fact, if they were told what Tang Feng is doing now, they would be even more crazed and more heartbroken, because both Atlantis and Paradise Island have come into contact with humans. This kind of thing is bound to cause a drastic change in the fate of Blue Star, and Tang Feng also obtained a lot of resources from it. The truth is, if there is no benefit, Tang Feng will not do it. After digesting the resources this time, plus the previous killing action, it has increased to 76%, and it is still 24% below the value, and it is possible to upgrade to the 7th level. Very good, the upgrade speed is very fast. Tang Feng is very happy. Next, he has a very suitable initial goal. As long as he succeeds, he can immediately upgrade to level 7. He is certain of success. Then, very happy, he, in order to celebrate, summoned Diana and Mara, including his mother, into a villa at the same time. Well, the previous rental space was too small to play in. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 68 Thor comes for revenge. Under Tang Feng's intervention, the world is changing at an accelerated pace. Atlantis and Paradise Island were integrated into the human world, and major events followed. For example, one of Iron Man's great villains, Whipping Anton Vank, to cause trouble. Due to an accident, the Electric Man was also born. In a scientific experiment, Dr. Octopus was born in plain sight. Fortunately for Harry, both Electron and Dr. Octopus belonged to Osborn Industry, and they were born by accident, which affected the overall reputation and interests of Osborn Industry. Because of this, the stock of Osborn Industries fell again and again, and I don't know how many people committed suicide by jumping off the building. As the successor of the group, whether Harry is innocent or not, he will be held accountable for this and lose his position. Faced with the persecution of the rest of the president, Harry, like what happened to a generation of Green Goblin, was about to be expelled. Faced with this situation, Harry must be very unwilling. He tried. Dad, it turns out I never met you, Harry muttered to himself, then turned on the strengthening instrument, lay in the strengthening cabin, and performed the serum strengthening. 3 hours later, the second generation Green Goblin was born. The big villains appeared one after another, and the superheroes were busy. Iron Man is busy with Whiplash, and the three Spider-Men are busy with Electro, Dr. Octopus, and the second-generation Green Goblin. They are all extraordinary people who surpass ordinary people, and a fight is bound to cause great harm, affecting many ordinary people. This is helpless. Jarvis, are you ready? Sir, it's ready. Well then, let the show begin. Tony was flying fast at high altitude in a steel battlesuit, followed by hundreds of steel robots including Whiplash. Even if there were 100 of them, Tony did not panic. He had fought against the Injustice League, resisted the invasion of Mephisto and Dormammu, and watched Tang Feng attack and fight among gods. The previous experience not only made Tony a true warrior, but also made his steel battlesuit transformation stronger than the time in the original movie. Even facing the villain transformed by Extremis, Tony's steel battlesuit can be defeated now, not to mention mere Whiplash. Therefore, this battle is not that difficult, and no help is needed. With Tony alone, all the steel robots can be defeated one by one while fighting at high altitude, including Whiplash. Good cooperation, Jarvis told her. Thank you for the compliment, sir. No, it's not a compliment. In fact, you and the steel battlesuit, plus my wits, are the strongest. Tony was proud of his shameless bragging, pointing at the falling tattered robots and said contemptuously, how can these cumbersome and underperforming steel robots be my opponents? Don't say more than 100, even if you add up 10 times. It's not my opponent. Maybe God couldn't stand Tony being so bragging. A hammer fell from the sky with a thud, knocking Tony down. If it weren't for the protection of the steel battlesuit, Tony would be great. Tony was bewildered the whole time. He didn't know what happened, so he fell from a height. If it weren't for Jarvis to help him land, he might have been paralyzed by the impact of the fall. Who attacked me? Jarvis? Tony asked again and again with lingering fears. I'm sorry, sir, the enemy is beyond the detection range and cannot be found, just to know what the attack is, Jarvis replied, transmitting an image to Tony of a hammer carrying lightning. It is Mjolnir. Mjolnir is undoubtedly a weapon belonging to Thor. The appearance of Mjolnir shows that it is Thor's hand. It also means that Thor has returned to Blue Star. Why do you say Because Thor was previously sealed by Odin with divine power, and was demoted to Blue Star. Then, after Tang Feng killed Odin, Loki took control. In order to sit on the throne of the God King forever, Loki had to kill Thor. So, while preparing for the Ice Giant War, he sends the Destroyer to try to kill Thor. Unfortunately, he is not the protagonist. Thor is. Similar to the plot of the original movie, before he died, Thor regained his powers and defeated the Destroyer. Afterwards, Thor returned to Asgard with his Thor, who was a comrades, imprisoned Loki, led his people to defeat the Frost Giants, and maintained the glory of Asgard. In the days that followed, Thor did his part to be the God King, repelling or subduing the rest of the 9 realms' careerists. After dealing with these matters, Thor insisted on coming to Blue Star no matter what persuasion. He wants to find Tang Feng and take revenge. Odin was killed by Tang Feng. As the son of man, no matter how strong the enemy is, you must take revenge and return. This is a matter of swearing to the death. As far as Thor's temperament is concerned, he will not try to be brave. He is right. As for whether they have been defeated or not, and whether they will die, that will be a matter of the future. Although Tang Feng's identity is very hidden, for ordinary people, whether it is Thor and others, as long as they want to know, it is not difficult. After all, the god of fate has never been an ethereal legend. It is true. Thor, who had just arrived at the Blue Star, noticed that Iron Man was flying high in the sky, which reminded him of the unpleasant experience he faced with the Destroyer. The shape of the same steel really made him feel very upset and annoyed. So, without saying a word, he swung Mjolnir towards Tony. Seeing Iron Man falling, Thor sighed in relief, tightly gripped the flying Mjolnir, followed the feeling in his heart, and quickly flew in the direction of Vertical Bar New City. Obviously, this is the location given by Tang Feng. For Thor's revenge, Tang Feng maintained an indifferent attitude. Come on, let me have a good time before leaving Blue Star. Tang Feng looked at the sky and smiled. I saw that behind him, Gala, Mera, Diana, and Hulk were all there, all gathered together. Chapter 69 The Tragedy of Thor. Without making Tang Feng wait long, at the speed of Mjolnir's flight, he soon arrived with Thor. This is the center of the bustling city with people coming and going. Thor, bathed in lightning and thunder, descended from the sky and landed in front of Tang Feng. The electric man has appeared. Run, huh? It doesn't seem to be an electric man. Whether it is or not, it's not a good person at first glance. Run away. Don't watch the fun. There will definitely be a battle between superheroes and supervillains. The screaming crowd fled in panic, and after a while, the bustling streets were empty, with only Thor and Tang Feng standing face to face on the street. A gust of wind blew and swayed Tang Feng and the others' clothes. Their hair swayed, the newspapers scattered on the ground gradually disappeared, and plastic bags rolled on the ground. God of fate, die! On the empty street that was originally silent, a shout full of anger broke the silence. Lightning flickered, and lightning struck down, forming a tree fork shape. Layers of black clouds gathered in the sky, and countless lightning bolts turned into Thor's power. I saw Thor holding Mjolnir high, and while shouting angrily, he attacked Tang Feng and hit him with a hammer. It's not need to confirm it. When he saw Tang Feng, he knew that Tang Feng was the god of destiny, the person he was looking for, and the enemy who killed his father. As the son of man, it is only right for him to avenge his father, even if he loses the enemy. It is no reason to back down. Thor, like a tragic fighter, charged forward. Tang Feng raised his eyebrows and said, he smiled, stretched out a hand, clenched it tightly, and easily grabbed the Mjolnir that was calling out, and let Thor exert his strength. No matter how the thunder and lightning roared, he could not move. Hateful! Thor yelled unwillingly. Even if he knew the result, he was still very reluctant. Even if he could not take revenge, even if he hurt Tang Feng. In this regard, Tang Feng just wanted to say, think too much. Boom! Tang Feng grabbed Mjolnir's hand and waved it down, and Thor crashed to the ground. Immediately afterwards, Tang Feng kicked out, hitting Thor's head in the middle, and with a muffled groan, Thor was kicked away. Tang Feng continued to shoot out with a palm, and as soon as he grabbed it, Thor, who flew upside down, stopped out of nowhere. Looking at Tang Feng's hand again, he waved it downwards, and Thor crashed into the ground again. Next, Tang Feng's hand was like a staff, and Thor crashed wherever he pointed. This is unwillingness, struggle, pain, resentment, helplessness, and so on. Thor is like a manipulated puppet. His fate is out of control, he can't help it, and he can't control himself. On the solid ground, there are big pits. Thor is a human-shaped hammer, falling and falling, constantly poking holes. This kind of thing is very frustrating, but Thor can't resist. It wasn't until Tang Feng had played enough that he stopped, stretched out his hand, and Mjolnir flew into his hand. Give it back. Thor climbed up from a big pit, covered in mud, looking very embarrassed, not lightly injured, vomiting blood, and walked towards Tang Feng with difficulty step by step. Okay, then take it. Tang Feng was staring at Mjolnir, but when he heard it, he narrowed his eyes and smiled, and threw the hammer at Thor. Boom! Mjolnir ignored Thor's outstretched hand and struck him on the left side of the cheek. His face half collapsed and a sound of bones crushing could be heard. It was a critical hit, and Thor was severely injured and fell to the ground like a dead fish. It's really cool to hit someone with a hammer. Tang Feng held Mjolnir that flew back, smiled with satisfaction, walked towards Thor, stretched out his feet, and turned Thor, who was upside down. Tsk. It's so miserable, I can't even look like a human. With your current strength, you dared to take revenge. I admire your courage. However, you are also stupid. Tang Feng shook his head and said, without the slightest mercy, with a hook of his finger. Thor seemed to be hung by invisible silk threads, facing Tang Feng face to face. It's just that Thor's feet are off the ground, his head is tilted, and his body is loose. Before the arrival, Thor was the majestic Thor, and now he is a half-dead salted fish. It was miserable, but no one bothered Tang Feng. Only Diana, Gala, Mara, and Hulk were in the audience. Among the three girls, the righteous Diana belongs to the Olympus Pantheon, and the Asgard Pantheon is originally an enemy, so she will definitely not speak sympathetically. As for Kayla and Mara, they would not offend Tang Feng and prevent him from playing. Hulk couldn't help it. If it weren't for Tang Feng, he might not be able to resist and fight Thor. Because he wanted to follow Tang Feng and leave Blue Star, Dr. Banner's consciousness has been suppressed, and Hulk can always go out and control his body. This is undoubtedly something that Hulk is very excited about, and he can't wait to destroy him. Standing next to Tang Feng, he could only hold back. "If you beg me for mercy and you are my god, then I can spare your life." Tang Feng grabbed Thor's messy hair, raised his lips, and said with a smile, "I beg you for mercy? Stop dreaming, Pooh." Thor stubbornly stared at Tang Feng. Even if he was dying from serious injuries, he wouldn't be able to get up, and he wouldn't admit defeat. Ba's saliva returned in the same way and landed on Thor's face. "I knew that with your character, it wouldn't be so easy to accept your fate. Forget it. One more of you isn't much, and one less of you isn't much. I took out one of your eyes as punishment for offending me." Tang Feng first threw Thor to the ground, then stretched out his finger and saw Thor's right eye fly out and shatter in the air. Thor covered the eye socket where he lost his right eye and screamed, rolling over and over again. His screams were heartbreaking. This is undoubtedly Tang Feng's bad taste. While taking out Thor's right eye, he also increased Thor's sense of pain tenfold. Even if Thor is a sturdy and fierce man, he can't withstand severe pain. In fact, in terms of Tang Feng's methods, even if Thor is a tough guy, he can be subdued and turned into a loyal dog. However, this is too boring, so I don't do it. Just like the reading of the Endless Moon in Naruto, how about becoming the master of the world and how to control the lives of countless people? Only oneself is awake and everyone else falls in a beautiful dream. This kind of thing is so boring. For Tang Feng, it is similar. If you reverse Thor's thoughts and make him surrender, then the surrendered Thor is not the real Thor. Therefore, Tang Feng would not do such a thing. Chapter 70 The Ants Resist. Well, in fact, in the previous days of debauchery, many women would serve a husband and so on. Tang Feng was able to enjoy this, and that was not the reason for manipulating their thoughts. It is because of the identity of the god of fate, coupled with his supreme personal charm, that they can willingly serve them. In foreign myths, such relationships are inherently chaotic, very open, and highly acceptable. Even if it is Diana's idea, even if she feels ashamed, it is acceptable. To be pious, one must have a pious conscience. Thor is pitiful and offended Tang Feng. If Tang Feng hadn't shot him himself, they wouldn't care. Thor, you are too weak now. I look forward to your revenge after you become stronger." Tang Feng, said indifferently, nodded to the four behind him, and said, "Let's go." As soon as the words fell, Kayla, Diana, Mara, and Hulk subconsciously glanced over and walked behind Tang Feng. Then, the powerful force of destiny surrounded the five people and flew into the sky like a rainbow, and the remaining traces of the light belt would not disappear for a long time. Blue Star, let's say goodbye for now. In outer space, Tang Feng looked back at the beautiful blue star, thinking in his heart, fate is impermanent and uncontrollable. Even if Tang Feng is the god of destiny, he can't completely control it now. Fate. The original plan was for Tang Feng not to leave Blue Star so early. There is also the confrontation between Injustice and the Avengers, the matter of Sandman, and some impromptu plans. The previous things, since Tang Feng left Blue Star, are irrelevant. Although he left early, this is a good thing. The increase in strength exceeded Tang Feng's expectations, and it was something he couldn't ask for. Thinking, Tang Feng smiled, turned his head, and strengthened the power output. The energy group surrounding the five people was even more dazzling and dazzling. The speed was faster than the speed of light. In the endless quiet universe, Tang Feng's journey began, and the first target of the slaughtered gods was Galactus, one of the five gods of creation. Galactus is different from the other five gods. Due to lack of food, Galactus independently divided his power and formed a large number of duplications. Each duplication, or 6, or 7. For this reason, Galactus is a villain in all parallel universes. As a boss, he has a weakness that his strength will decrease if he doesn't eat enough, and he is often defeated by others. which is a tragedy. In Tang Feng's original universe, Galactus' duplication was at the 6th level, but because he couldn't eat enough and couldn't use his real power, he was tragically chased by the Insect King. As for Galactus' 4 subordinates, the strength will be 1 level lower than him, and the 6th level Galactus only has 5 level power. The same 5th level power, the Insect King has the power of the Dark Universe and can be temporarily upgraded to the 6th level, which is the Insect King's reliance on capturing Galactus. In this parallel universe, even if Galactus has 7th level power and 4 subordinates with 6th level power, he is doomed to the same tragedy, because Tang Feng also attacked him. Blue Star. After Tang Feng left, there was a roar of engines in the sky. The invisible fighter plane was revealed and landed vertically, the hatch opened, and Cyclops Nick Fury walked down the ladder. Thor. Diana joined the Avengers and introduced the history of mythology. Nick Fury, the captain and others have a general understanding of the true history of mythology. Moreover, when Thor was demoted, S.H.I.E.L.D., headed by Phil Coulson, had contact with Thor. So, Nick Fury is no stranger to Thor. Thor's revenge action was very loud, and Tang Feng was leaving Blue Star, so he didn't hide it, so S.H.I.E.L.D. knew about it. As the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., knowing that Tang Feng left with the 4 gods, he left immediately. Without Diana and Hulk, the Avengers' power has decreased a lot, and Nick Fury is sad about the lack of a nuclear deterrent. However, he didn't dare to stop what Tang Feng was going to do, so he could only helplessly watch Diana and Hulk leave the Avengers, follow Tang Feng, and leave Blue Star. Without the 2 strongest, it would be a good thing to invite Thor to join the Avengers. 0. Nick Fury stood in front of Thor, even when Thor was lying on the ground like a dead fish. His single eye was shining like a rare treasure. With a fox-like smile on his lips, he lifted Thor onto the fighter plane and flew back to Avengers. Nick Fury has a dream, Captain. Doctor Strange and others also have the same dream. Even if it is only 1 in a billion chance, they must pursue it and never give up. They hope that one day, they can defeat the God of Destiny and be the master of their own affairs. For them, for human beings, only one superhero is needed. And there is no need for a true high-ranking god who can wipe out human beings with a single touch. 0. In the past, the strength and means that Tang Feng displayed had made the Avengers and others terrified, frightened, and fearful. They are afraid that one day human beings will become extinct, and that one day they will kill Tang Feng at will. Ordinary people don't know anything about it, and there is no trace of them in history. I am afraid that the world will undergo earth-shaking changes. Human beings will no longer be the hegemon, and various species will appear. These things are possible as long as Tang Feng continues to exist. And, Tang Feng is the god of destiny, not a superhero or a supervillain. He has willful power. He has free thoughts. No one can stop him. Therefore, the Avengers and others live a life of anxiety every day, afraid that when they wake up, the world will change greatly. As the overlord of mankind, the idea of freedom is deeply rooted in everyone's hearts. Even if Tang Feng is a god and is very powerful, he cannot erase the resistance of mankind, unless Tang Feng reverses the human mind. Because Tang Feng did not do this, the Avengers and others who knew the truth of the world rebelled. To fight Tang Feng, strength is essential. Therefore, although Thor cannot defeat Tang Feng, he is also an indispensable resistance force. For Tang Feng, the thoughts and behaviors of people like the Avengers, like ordinary people shouting against the sky, are so ridiculous and ignorant for a long time. Chapter 71 Galactus. The god of fate left Blue Star and went to the cosmos. It's okay, you finally don't have to worry. On the moon, the leader of the inhuman race, Black Bolt, looked at the dark universe, breathed a sigh of relief, and no longer had to worry about Tang Feng's threat. As Tang Feng slaughtered, first came the Ancient One, then Dormammu and Mephisto, then Odin, then the Panther God, Zeus. Watching Tang Feng kill him all the time, Black Bolt was very scared and was afraid that he would kill him next. In his restless waiting day and night, after learning that Tang Feng left Blue Star, he truly felt that he had saved his life. Although I don't know why Tang Feng let him go alone. This is a great thing to celebrate. The god of fate has left Blue Star, and Atlantis and Paradise Island have also appeared. Is it time for our Inhumans to appear in the world? 033. Without any danger to his life, Black Bolt looked at Blue Star from the moon. His eyes flashed, thinking about the future of the Inhumans. It is not a good idea to keep the Inhumans hidden. As human technology continues to develop, there will always be a day when the secrets of the moon and the existence of the Inhumans will be discovered. It is better to be active than passive. Humans have accepted Atlantis and Paradise Island, and the Inhumans, who are similar to humans, should be fine, even if there are some twists and turns. Black Bolt King is still a level 5 powerhouse, and he has the confidence to deal with it. Considering this, Black Bolt made a decision to lead the Inhumans to Blue Star and make contact with humans. Definitely, because Tang Feng exists, even if he leaves Blue Star, he will return one day. So, Black Bolt did not think about the naive idea of dominating the world. He went to Blue Star with peaceful thoughts. In fact, if it weren't for Sky's descendant, Tang Feng would have killed Black Bolt long ago. There is another reason. The mere 5th level King Black Bolt, even if he is killed, will not do much, and Tang Feng looks down on him. Tang Feng's target now is the level 6 and level 7 gods. On the edge of the Carry Star field, there is a planet called MZ, Kenan, home to over 10 billion Kree people. The planet, which has always been peaceful, is facing a crisis like the destruction of the world. SHHHHHH, boom boom boom. On the planet, there are two figures entangled and fighting at a speed close to the speed of light. One figure island silver light, the other is red light, and the battle range between the two is the entire planet, the sky, the earth, the ocean, and even outer space. There are two figures fighting. The Kree people on the planet are gathering in panic, lining up to board the spaceship, and beginning to evacuate this planet. Screams, cries, panic, intertwined. Bang! The red figure was knocked down, smashing a mountain, and the figure was buried beneath it. Another silver figure followed closely behind, suspended in the sky, paused for a moment, and the real appearance was also presented. I saw that it was a male humanoid creature, walking on a silver skateboard, with a silver shell covering the whole body and being soft. He is the Silver Surfer and the future Silver Surfer. He is now one of the 4 messengers of Galactus. Their mission is to find delicious planets everywhere, bring Galactus there and devour them. There is no doubt that this planet called MZ Kernan has been noticed by the Silver Surfer. Meddlesome Captain Marvel, stop pestering. This planet is destined to be devoured. I have informed Lord Galactus. He will come soon. If you don't want to die with this planet, you might as well leave early. The Silver Surfer looked down coldly and shouted loudly. Boom! The gravel on the mountain collapsed and flew out, and a red figure flew out of it and stopped more than 10 meters away from the Silver Surfer, showing her appearance. She is Captain Marvel Carol Danvers of this universe. Damn it, I still can't stop him. Carol clenched her fists and muttered unwillingly to herself. I really don't understand what you guys are thinking. I heard that you and the Kree people have always been against each other and hate each other. So, Lord Galactus is going to devour the Kree planet. You should be very happy. Why are you trying so hard to stop him? The Silver Surfer shook his head. He had no memory of the past and was weak in human nature, so he couldn't understand Carol's behavior. I have a grudge with the Kree, but it has nothing to do with these civilians. The object of my revenge is the leader of the Kree. I won't watch a planet be destroyed and countless people die. Carol took a deep breath and said firmly, no matter how determined you are, facing us and Lord Galactus, you are just an ant with no resistance. My partner is here. If you don't leave, it will be too late. The Silver Surfer looked up at the sky and recalled. I saw the outside universe. A dazzling fire cluster appeared, and destroyed a spaceship. It was one of the 4 messengers of Galactus, and the Emperor of Flames fired. Not only the Emperor of Flames, the Tyrant Messenger and the Stardust Messenger also took action one after another, destroying the spaceships. Fires appeared in the sky, and a large number of spaceships fell to the planet. Before getting on the spaceship, the Kree people who escaped from the planet screamed and panicked to avoid the falling spaceship. With a desperate look, the 4 messengers of Galactus have arrived, and Galactus is almost there. In fact, This is also the case. In the vast universe, a giant that is much taller than the planet is rushing over, planet MZ Kenan, twice the size of Blue Star, but in front of this giant, only half of his head file size. This tall and incredible giant is Galactus Duplication, one of the 5 gods of creation. With the arrival of Galactus, looking down from outer space with a head larger than the planet, the remaining billions of Kree people are desperate. Carol smiled bitterly, shook her head helplessly. There was no way to save people. Galactus was too strong. She could not defeat her. She had to flee rationally, hope to escape successfully. Carol thought in her heart that she would use the fastest speed to fly away. At this moment, Galactus let out a scream of anger and fearful emotions. Chapter 72 Battle breaks out. Anger, fear, this is one of the 5 gods of creation, the duplication of Galactus called the Planet Devourer. Who can make him act like this? Carol and the 4 messengers of Galactus were startled, looked up at the sky, and looked at where Galactus was. Their pupils shrank unconsciously, and 5 figures appeared at some unknown time. Although compared to Galactus's huge body, the 5 figures are all as small as ants. But their auras are very powerful. They are all of the 6th level, especially the man in front of the 4, whose aura is not only powerful, but also mysterious. No better than Galactus. The aura is weak and can fight back. Who are these 5 figures? When Carol and the others were suspicious, Galactus spoke, and the voice was earth-shaking. Roar's breath could blow away the planet's atmosphere, creating an apocalyptic crisis without realizing it. God of Fate, what do you want to do? Galactus was very angry. As one of the 5 gods of creation, the duplication of Galactus definitely knew about the existence of the God of Destiny. He didn't expect that the God of Destiny would come to deal with him. When Tang Feng first appeared, needless to say, he had already felt Tang Feng's hostility. I came to kill you. Tang Feng spread his hands and said directly, kill me? I'm just one of Galactus's duplications. The real Galactus is in existence close to the 9th level. Even if you are the God of Destiny, the consequences of offending Galactus will definitely be tragic. Originally we had no grievances, but now you want to kill me. Galactus will definitely avenge this revenge. Perhaps because of this, all of Galactus's duplications will merge into one, and the real Galactus will seek revenge. Have you considered this consequence? The head of Galactus's duplication moved a little closer to Tang Feng, and as it trembled, a strong wind formed, blowing the surrounding meteorites away. Gala, Mera, Diana, and Hulk, who were standing behind Tang Feng, all changed their expressions and couldn't help but take a step or 2 back. If it weren't for the protective shield formed by the force of fate around them, they might have been blown away. You and I both know that the reason Galactus split into countless duplications is because of a lack of food. In Galactus's vision, the most important thing is to have a full stomach. Unfortunately, even if there are countless split duplications, each duplication is not always full. So, every duplication of Galactus is doing whatever it takes, in various parallel universes, to try to fill their stomachs. 99 Also, no matter what happens, even if one duplication dies, the rest of the Galactus duplication don't care. Therefore, even if I kill you, there should be no real Galactus revenge. There are definitely no absolutes in the world. If the real Galactus goes to war because of your death and wants to take revenge for me, then I will acknowledge it. Tang Feng shook his head and calmly analyzed. He no longer believes it. There are so many Galactus duplications, if he kills just one, it will lead to the real Galactus and turn countless Galactus duplications into one. In fact, there is another possibility. The real Galactus might be grateful to Tang Feng. Because Tang Feng killed a Galactus duplication, he would lose a meal. Well, this is a good thing for the countless Galactus duplications who are always hungry. Since you said so, then there is nothing to say between us. Although you are the God of Fate, you are currently only level 6 and I am level 7, so you are not guaranteed to win the battle between us. The duplicate Galactus took a deep breath, like a black hole, sucking in everything around him, and then stretched out a hand, as if grabbing a football, grabbed the planet MZ kern and then stuffed it into his mouth. With a few clicks, Galactus ate a planet in this way. All the Kree stars and various creatures on the planet could not escape the fate of being devoured. Only Carol escaped in time and stayed in a distant universe, staring at the duplicate of Galactus, as if it were an enemy with deep hatred. Unforgivable. 9. Diana clenched her fists and said angrily. Tang Feng watched indifferently, without stopping. No matter how hard Galactus struggled, he could not escape the fate of perishing. Drink. I saw Galactus scream after eating the planet, and the dazzling light showed through his body, as if hearing the flow of energy tides, surging. After a minute or two, calm was finally restored. Galactus' huge body seemed to have shrunk a little. The armor originally worn on his body had energy flow patterns on it, as if it had been activated. That's my fighting stance. I have used all the energy I have stored up over countless years, in order to exert my true strength. It's just that after the battle, I might be too hungry, I might fall asleep, or I might lose my mind, and I will just instinctively search for food everywhere. I paid such a heavy price, and you won't be any better off. I will definitely make you pay the price. Make yourself known and bring about my end. Galactus' duplication ended in anger, raised his right fist that could pierce Planet 037, and punched at Tang Feng. With a bang, the speed of the fist exceeded the speed of light. The space along the way collapsed, and the terrifying cracking sound was transmitted. The so-called silent law in the universe is ridiculous to the true gods. Don't talk too much too early. You will know later how naive it is. The corner of Tang Feng's mouth twitched, and he punched him as well. Galactus' fist is like an elephant's leg. Tang Feng's fist is like an ant's leg. The gap is too big. However, in terms of strength, the gap between the two is not big. Boom, boom boom. One big fist, one small fist, two fists collided with each other, bursting out an energy wave like a planetary explosion, spreading and spreading towards the depths of the universe. At this point, the battle between the God of Fate and Galactus has begun. Others were not idle either. Galactus' 4 messengers and Tang Feng's 4 gods also found their opponents and fought vigorously. There was only one spectator at the scene, Carol. Carol is only level 5. No matter what battlefield, she can't get involved. She can only watch the battle in front of her and shock. Chapter 73. I hit you in the face with a planet. Boom boom boom. Damn God of Fate, dare to provoke me and seek death. 35. I will definitely make you pay. 35. In the originally quiet and dark universe, not only the violent sound of clashing was transmitted, but also the violent roar of Galactus' duplication. Galactus hated Tang Feng to death. In order to release his true strength, he paid a heavy price. Even if he defeated Tang Feng, or killed him once, his ending would not be easy. Humphrey, come on if you can. Tang Feng responded casually, punched out, and collided with Galactus' huge fist, bursting out a powerful energy wave. Because the two of them were fighting so hard, no one dared to get close for several light years around, and the rest of the people fought far away. Roar tilde a gust of wind blew, and it was a huge number of slaps. Tang Feng looked at it. It looked like a boundless land, and it seemed to be the Wuzi mountain of the legendary Buddha. However, he is not Sun Monkey. Tilde what? Tang Feng unexpectedly let out a soft cry. He used the principle of drilling to form a drill bit. He thought he could pierce through the palm of the Galactus duplication, but he only drilled out a blood hole. It was he who underestimated the Galactus duplication, and when he was about to strengthen his strength, another huge palm struck out, and the two palms pressed together, making a huge amount of sound, and Tang Feng's figure was pressed in the middle. Ha ha ha, don't feel bad this time, it's not over yet. The Galactus duplication laughed sweetly, and he really let out a bad breath, and then his palms surged with strong energy. The flashing light was very dazzling. He was condensing huge amounts of source energy, and then exploded. This was an unprecedented explosion, stronger than the fixed star explosion, and the power shook all the planets within a dozen light years. Those planets are shaking, deviating from their orbits and gradually wandering in the vast universe. The 8 people in the battle and Carol, who was watching the battle, looked on in shock. At the scene of the explosion, Galactus' duplication's palms exploded, and there were serious wounds on his body. Obviously, His move was to injure 1,000 enemies and 800 himself. Compared to the tragic situation of Galactus' duplication, Tang Feng is even more tragic. Kakaka. In the end, with a bang, the protective cover was completely broken. Tang Feng's feet and the left half of his body disappeared. Only the upper right half of his body and the right half of his head remained. He looked hideous. All right, as expected of Galactus' duplication. I underestimated you at the beginning. Then the real battle begins. Tang Feng said coldly, took a deep breath and absorbed the constant power of the source of destiny, and the damaged body suddenly recovered as before. And his body rapidly swelled, turning into a giant as huge as the duplication of Galactus. The smile on the face of the duplication of Galactus disappeared, his expression became solemn, and he cursed inwardly. Shit fate. Thinking about it, he didn't dare to neglect. He used his energy and recovered his injury, but unlike Tang Feng's endless energy, which was supported by the source of destiny, his energy was used a little and a little less. Boom. The battle continued. Tang Feng evaded the parry of the duplication of Galactus with a right uppercut and punched him in the face, knocking him down. Tang Feng squinted his eyes, sneered, followed closely, left fist, right fist, kicked with his left foot, and kicked with his right foot, using an excellent fighting technique. Facing the stormy force of Tang Feng attack, Galactus duplication could only be busy resisting, taking hits from time to time. It's too surprising, the dignified Galactus duplication. Hand-to-hand combat is so bad. Have you been living on a dog all these years? Tang Feng laughed wildly. The attack did not stop, and another punch hit Galactus' left face. Duplication. He then struck his left elbow and kicked Galactus' neck. Duplication with his left foot, making him scream in pain, coughing up blood constantly, oozing out some organs from his broken heart and lungs. That's enough. Don't go too far. Galactus duplication felt very aggrieved. He had very little experience in close combat and was completely pressured and beaten. He knew that this would not continue, so he roared, bursting out with powerful energy, and finally pushed Tang Feng away. The Galactus clone took a deep breath and immediately raised his fists, which were shining with extreme energy. Excessive. I won't give up until I beat you to death, Tang Feng said with a sneer, flew up to the top of the Galactus clone, kicked it with one foot, and suddenly accelerated. The gravity on the planet doesn't work for you. What if it came from the universe? When Tang Feng finished speaking, the Galactus clone felt an extremely strong gravitational force, pressing against his body, causing his face to redden. His raised fists were gradually forced down, and his body bent slightly. For this reason, the Galactus clone arrived too late to deal with it, and Tang Feng kicked him with such a strong force that he almost broke his head. Vertical bar. Ah, damn it. The gravitational force of the universe is so powerful that even with the power of Galactus' duplication, it is still not easy to break free. Moreover, Tang Feng will not look on, while using gravity to restrain, as long as he hits Galactus' duplication. No matter how cruel it is, it will come. Galactus' duplication's involuntary roar, to Tang Feng's ears, is simply a beautiful move. After hitting him like this for a while, seeing that Galactus' duplication was no longer human, Tang Feng did not stop thinking. He simply sat on Galactus' duplication, raised his hands, and saw two files of different file sizes flying from far away in the universe. On the planet, Tang Feng, one in each hand, like holding a basketball and a football. Good job. Then smiled at Galactus' duplication, slammed into its head, and smashed it hard. Bang, bang. The two planets that hit Galactus' duplication's head, they shattered and exploded immediately. No matter how Galactus the duplication usually regards the planet as food, after all, it is a planet, and the force of the impact and the power of the explosion cannot be ignored. It is almost an ordinary person who was first slapped in the face by a basketball and then blown up by firecrackers. The Galactus duplication was crushed by two planets. However, this is just the beginning, far from the end. Tang Feng kept pulling the planet, and then opened his bow from left to right, constantly hitting the Galactus duplication, using the planet as a one-time weapon. This is destined to be a shocking attack method, and only Tang Feng dares to think about it, dares to use it. and can use it. After a series of blows, the Galactus duplication's screams of pain became more and more panicked, as its energy gradually decreased. Chapter 74 Dark Universe. The battle between you and me is over, Galactus. Yes, it's disgusting. In the universe, two screams came from far away, undoubtedly the words of Tang Feng and the Galactus duplication. Tang Feng was suspended above the Galactus duplication, holding both hands high, holding a huge fixed star 10 times larger than his body, just like Sun Wukong in Dragon Ball holding a vitality bomb. Taking Tang Feng's current huge amounts of body, compared to the volume of the blue star, one hand can hold the blue star, such huge amounts of him. The fixed star he holds is more than 10 times larger than him. It is conceivable that this fixed star, how big the star is, no matter how big the fixed star is, the energy within the planet is so strong. The energy of the fixed star is definitely stronger than the sun. Coupled with Tang Feng's original power, it has dealt the strongest blow. In the contracted pupils of Galactus' duplication, Tang Feng held the incomparably huge fixed star and crushed it hard. Before that, Galactus' duplication had been paralyzed, and his strength had also weakened a lot. Coupled with the restriction of gravity, he couldn't dodge at all, so he could only reluctantly shout, raise his hands, trying to hold the fallen fixed star. However, in the face of Tang Feng's strongest blow, all his resistance was powerless. First, his hands were shattered, then the fixed star carried the maximum force, and then crushed his head, followed by his entire body. All the way down, everything exploded. Then, with a bang, just like the explosion of the initial birth of the universe, a huge amount of fixed star exploded, and the Galactus duplication that exploded, not even the molecule was left. Moreover, Tang Feng erased all traces of the Galactus duplication through the powerful force of destiny. In this way, the Galactus duplication in this universe is completely dead, and there is no possibility of resurrection. The God of Destiny? You dare to provoke me? Do you think he is the God of Destiny and will not die, so you are unscrupulous? It's abominable. Would you like to come back with revenge? 35. Forget it. I'm hungry again. Let's eat first and then talk about it. 35. The first time Galactus' duplication died, all the Galactus duplications in the rest of the universe knew about it, whether they were angry, jealous, or indifferent. In the case of starvation, Galactus did not retaliate against Tang Feng's idea. Tang Feng stayed in the dark universe and waited for a while. From the trajectory of fate, he didn't notice what happened, and he was relieved. He guessed right, Galactus hasn't done much so far, and he probably won't come back with revenge. Thinking about it, he shook his head and smiled. He can rest assured. As soon as he walked out, his figure disappeared in an instant. The next moment, in front of Gala, the tyrant messenger just punched him. Black hole. 39. Tang Feng snapped his fingers, and a black hole the size of an ordinary person's fist appeared in front of him without warning. It swallowed the tyrant messenger's fist in one go, and then the black hole expanded rapidly, sucking the entire tyrant messenger into it within 2 or 3 seconds. Sizzled, cluck. Indistinctly, a few rolling sounds came from the black hole, and the tyrant messenger was transformed into pure energy by the black hole and returned to the universe. On the 6th level, Tang Feng wanted to kill him as simple as that. After killing the tyrant messenger, Tang Feng stepped forward and appeared on Diana's battlefield. She was fighting against Silver Surfer's messenger. Shoot the world. Regardless of the fact that Silver Surfer will become Silver Surfer in the future, Tang Feng pointed out that a flame comparable to the center of the sun appeared, and immediately dragged the silver figure into it. Only after hearing the Silver Surfer's screams for a while, was he burned to death by the fire. Mira is fighting Xingqian. Tang Feng just appeared, ignoring Xingqian's feminine appearance, and made a lure. The plague of annihilation. Stardust's body is composed of cosmic particles, and the energy of the universe is the source of her power, but she, Ajay, suffered a nemesis, and the plague of annihilation invaded her body, which quickly killed her from the molecular level. She could only helplessly wait for death. Finally, there is Hulk against the Flame King. Erase. Tang Feng just let out a silent sigh, and watched the body of the Flame Emperor, bit by bit, turned into ashes and scattered across the universe. Until now, the duplication of Galactus and his 4 messengers are all dead. Tang Feng clapped his hands, summoned the 4 gods, used the power of destiny to form a protective shield, tilted his head to look in one direction, smiled and snapped his fingers. The light group formed by the protective shield flew with the 5 people instantly. Disappeared. In the dark universe, there is a colorful residual tail, like the trail of a meteor. Carol, who had been watching the battle, finally relaxed after seeing Tang Feng and the others leave, and wiped her sweat. This was a sign of nervousness. Before Tang Feng left, she glanced in his direction, startling her, thinking that he was doomed and dead. In fact, he was an acquaintance after all, and Tang Feng never thought of killing Carol, so Carol was too worried. Who is he? The god of destiny? Why does he look like a human from the blue star? So do the other 4. After Carol calmed down, she muttered to herself in doubt and flew towards the blue star. Intuition told her that her hometown, Blue Star, should be able to tell her the truth. Tang Feng, who left, passed through the barrier of the universe and came to the opposite side of the universe, that is, the dark universe. In the dark universe, there is a race that makes all races in the universe change color, and that is the Annihilation Zerg. In Tang Feng's original universe, he lived very happily and happily, but because he was invaded by the Annihilation Zerg, he perished with the invading Zerg and wandered in this parallel universe. Therefore, there is a deep hatred between Tang Feng and the Annihilation Zerg. No matter whether the parallel universe is the original enemy or not, as long as they are of the same race, there will be a mistake and slaughter, so don't let it go. Annihilate the Annihilation Zerg. Here I come. Standing in the dark universe, Tang Feng smiled and waved his hand. As long as it's the annihilation of the Zerg, you can kill me wantonly, don't be polite to me. Gala, Diana, Mara, and Hulk looked at each other with doubts in their hearts, and couldn't help but mutter, why does it sound like there is so much hatred? They definitely didn't dare to ask. They all responded, followed Tang Feng to a planet, and began the journey of slaughter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 75 Zerg Annihilation Extinction. Dark Universe. 3 months ago, my king, planet KZ has fallen and been destroyed. 2 months ago, the thing is very bad. My king, the enemy has reached the KH star domain, and all the soldiers and fleets have no time to escape. 1 month ago, report, see my king, the enemy suddenly appeared in the M3 star field. Before we knew the news, all our people had died. The billions of trillions of soldiers were saved, and the enemy disappeared without a trace. 20 days ago, my king, the Z9 star domain has been destroyed. 8 days ago, my king, Starfield A1 has disappeared. Now that the time has come, the base camp planet where the Annihilation Zerg are located has fallen into silence and panic. They have gathered all the soldiers and spaceships, waiting for the strong enemy to appear. At this moment, the number of Zerg is about 100 billion. In just 3 months, for the Annihilation Zerg, it was a sudden nightmare. An unknown and powerful enemy attacked them, destroying every star field and killing the countless Annihilation Zerg. The dignified Annihilation Zerg, if they all attack, can terrify the races of the entire universe, and they have to unite to fight together. Who would have thought that such a powerful Annihilation Zerg would be destroyed one day? The Insect King looked at the Zerg warriors gathered around him, and he could clearly see the fear and anxiety on their faces, and his heart was sad. At the same time, the Insect King's eyes were filled with fear and anxiety. There is fear, humiliation, and unwillingness. He is the Worm King, and his subordinates are the Annihilation Zerg who have always brought despair to others. When did they become ant-like existences and people would kill them for no reason? Is the script wrong? Didn't I wake up? Are you dreaming? The Insect King roared in pain in his heart, unwilling to accept the cruel facts. In just 3 months, the Zerg will soon be annihilated. According to the enemy's performance, The Zerg King knows without guessing that there must be gods above the 7th level. If it is level 6, even if it is very strong, it is impossible to have such a fast killing speed. Only a level 7 or above can do it. Level 7 is the peak strength of a single universe. It can be invincible in this universe, kill anyone who wants to kill, and destroy that race if you want to destroy it. Even if it is to annihilate the Zerg, it is said to be destroyed. The so-called number is simply a joke in the eyes of the 7th level gods. The Insect King thought bitterly in his heart, sighed, looked up, and noticed the 5 figures rapidly approaching from the dark universe. As the 5 figures flew over, they seemed to be Tang Feng and the 4 gods without a doubt. It's all 5 of them. 99. They want to exterminate us. Countless brothers and sisters have died, and only we are left. Kill them, kill them. Revenge, revenge. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, they become particularly jealous. All the Annihilation Zerg present roared and roared, and surrounded Tang Feng and the 5 of them. They knew that they couldn't beat them, but they had to knock down a piece of meat before they died. That's it for the rest of the Zerg. Next. 55. Tang Feng smiled indifferently, his eyes were cold, ignoring the terrifying number of Zerg, and jokingly called out a little. After hearing Tang Feng's words, Mara, Gala, Diana, and Hulk couldn't help but laugh softly, and they were not nervous. The Annihilation Zerg's numbers are many, and they can scare dead men. Compared to the number of Zerg that have destroyed a star field, the number of Zerg in front of them is indeed a little. My people, wait. Just as the Zerg were about to attack, the Zerg King stopped him, flew out of the Zerg formation, stood in front of Tang Feng, and asked loudly, "Great God, what kind of hatred is there between us? Do you have to exterminate us?" This was the fallen Realm King's questioning cry. All the Zerg fell silent and looked at Tang Feng with red eyes, waiting for an answer. Just let them understand, they have no hatred towards me, but I have hatred towards the Annihilation Zerg, so regardless of whether they are related or not, as long as they are the Annihilation Zerg, no matter what universe they are in, I will destroy them. Tang Feng spread his hands and said slowly, "Insect King and all the Zerg." Roar took a deep breath and looked at Tang Feng dumbfounded. This reason is very strong. So are they implicated? Damn it. It was the good deeds done by that very clan that provoked Tang Feng, and they provoked them to face their demise. If you let them know, they will definitely want to tear these idiots apart and bite them to death. Begging for flowers. Unfortunately, there is no such opportunity. After Tang Feng finished speaking, he took the lead to attack, and the 4 people behind him followed suit. A battle to destroy and annihilate the Zerg began with vigor and vigor. The insects neighed, like moths to a fire, constantly dying. The Insect King let out a desperate roar, and together with the insect tide, flew towards Tang Feng. In this regard, Tang Feng put his hand in front of him and gently slapped it. Suddenly, the Insect King and the insect tide in front of him turned into scattered dust, and they died so cleanly that there was no room for struggle. 0. Compared to Tang Feng's straightforwardness, the battle of the 4 gods was a bit more difficult. Mara is manipulating the huge waves covering the sky, sweeping away the insects, crushing them into minced meat. Diana held Zeus's artifact, thunder and lightning, in the wave of insects, and opened the incomparable grass-cutting. Gala holds the eternal spear given to her by Tang Feng, which is completely unstoppable by insects. The tip of the spear will die if it touches it, and it will be disabled if it touches it. Coupled with the freezing breath, heat ray and other means, the number of Zerg killed is in the top 3. Hulk's death number is the lowest. Although one punch can kill thousands of insects, the efficiency of killing the enemy is not very good. Mara, Gala, and Diana all have wide area attacks similar to a mage, and Hulk is a pure flesh tank warrior. How could he compare? Finished. Tang Feng stood in the universe, surrounded by floating insect corpses. He bounced a ball of energy towards the Zerg base camp planet, exploding the planet. At the same time, the extinction plague specially set up for the annihilation of the Zerg will spread as the surviving Zerg escape, and will eventually completely kill all the Zerg, leaving no one behind. Before the Insect King launched his charge, he thought that even if Tang Feng was annihilated, some of the remaining Zerg would gradually multiply. It erases the Zerg's terrifying reproduction ability, which can be temporarily destroyed, but not permanently. What the Insect King didn't expect was that Tang Feng had the ability to make the annihilation Zerg of this universe disappear forever for a long time. Chapter 76, Thanos the Undead. After destroying the annihilation Zerg, Tang Feng floated in the universe, raised his head and closed his eyes, opened his hands, and felt the power of the Source of Destiny. Originally, after killing the duplication of Galactus and the 4 messengers, his power reached the peak of the 6th level, and the door to the 7th level was also half opened. Now that he has destroyed the annihilation Zerg, he has a considerable amount of resources, like a straw that crushed a camel, finally allowing him to push the door to the 7th level to fully open. With a bang in my heart, the door of the level was pushed open and shattered. A powerful force belonging to the 7th level was constantly flowing out from the Source of Destiny. This is Death Fate Line 55. It was too late to be happy to ascend to the 7th level. Tang Feng discovered the Death Fate Line of the Source of Destiny 040, and was vaguely entangled with it. Although he was only level 7, in terms of the power of destiny, it was enough for him to perceive the death conspiracy. He followed the clues and searched along the Death Fate Line, found Thanos' Fate Line, and began to approach his Fate Line. He squinted his eyes and looked in the direction of Blue Star, and sure enough he saw that the plot of Avengers 1 was beginning. At the same time, Thanos had found the Mind, Soul, and Power Gems in advance, and in Blue Star, there are Space, Time, and Reality Gems. The Space Gem is hidden in the Infinity Cube, housed in S.H.I.E.L.D. The Time Gem is the Eye of Agamotto, kept by Doctor Strange. The Reality Gem is Taiji Particles, which were originally sealed in the dark space by Odin, but have now broken free from the seal and possessed the body of Thor's first love girlfriend Jane. In this way, the 3 Infinity Gems have been concentrated on Blue Star. Perhaps there is the intervention of death. Various coincidences appear. The plot is accelerated. Loki, as the Anti-Bone Boy, has already opened the teleportation black hole on Blue Star. On the opposite side of the teleportation black hole, not only the Zeta Ryan's army, but also Thanos. Therefore, when the teleportation black hole is opened, not only the Zeta Ryan's army, but also Thanos and his men will invade the Blue Star. Without Tang Feng's help, the superhero would not be able to resist. They would be crushed and defeated, or they would die. HMPH, death. I hope you will be more interesting. If you continue to entangle, don't blame me for bullying me one day in the future. Tang Feng snorted, facing the boundless universe, and shouted. He believed that death could hear. In fact, death's eyes have been vaguely paying attention to Tang Feng. After hearing Tang Feng's warning, he couldn't help but shrink his head, and then jumped up and cursed angrily. I only dare to scold Tang Feng privately and don't want to trouble him anymore, because seeing with his own eyes that Tang Feng had risen to level 7 so quickly, he felt really guilty and scared. Theoretically speaking, Tang Feng at level 7, with the power of destiny, can barely fight against death. Definitely, in the death of pride, I will definitely be able to defeat the 7th level Tang Feng. However, if you can ascend to level 7 so quickly, how about level 8? 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, even 1,000 years, in the eyes of death, is just a moment of sleep. As long as awakening comes, Tang Feng will be able to ascend to level 8. The speed of ascension is too fast. What about the levels after the 9th level? Thinking of death, I panicked and didn't dare to provoke Tang Feng again. After stealing my soul, I sent Thanos to trouble you. From then on, our grievances will be cleared up. This is the idea of death, and what Tang Feng just said also means this. Although Tang Feng and death had never met, they shouted in the air and settled the matter tacitly. It is also Tang Feng's fault. Otherwise, he would not have let death retreat so easily. He would never admit that he was afraid of the 5 great gods of creation. The 5 gods of creation are advancing and retreating together. Death and Galactus are at the 8th level. The other 3 are almost 9th, and there may be 9th level bosses. So, I can't afford to provoke for the time being. Let's go back to Blue Star. 9. Tang Feng stretched out his hand, summoned the 4 gods, and said, "Did something big happen to Blue Star?" Diana guessed and asked 0. Yes, Blue Star was invaded by a purple sweet potato essence. 35 Tang Feng nodded and said, "Purple potato essence, what the hell?" Diana, Mara, Gala, and Hulk looked at each other in confusion and followed Tang Feng into the portal. Because he ascended to the 7th level, the power of destiny is stronger, and in the universe, it can already be arbitrarily vertical and horizontal. As soon as the portal closed, Tang Feng and the other 5 returned to Blue Star. Ha ha ha, a total of 6 infinity gems have finally been gathered. From now on, I, Thanos, am invincible in this universe. Although Tang Feng returned to Blue Star at the fastest speed, he was still one step behind. Thanos had already invaded Blue Star and defeated all the superheroes quickly, grabbing the gem of time, space, and reality. Tang Feng had just walked out of the portal when he saw Thanos laughing and pressing the 3 infinity gems he grabbed into the Infinity Gauntlet. In an instant, the 6 infinity gems on the Infinity Gauntlet burst into a dazzling light of energy, which also brought a strong pressure to Thanos. However, Thanos easily withstood the pressure, because the current Thanos has the power of level 7, and I don't know what means of death can make Thanos die in such a short period of time. So 4.8 will soon be upgraded from level 5 to level 7. The upgrade speed is faster than Tang Feng. Tang Feng couldn't help but curl his lips. It was really an unreasonable wonder. Are you the one for her revenge? 35 I heard that you are the god of destiny? Very well, I'm going to kill you now. I want to prove it to her. No matter what, I can help her. As soon as Tang Feng appeared, Thanos knew what the object of death revenge was. He raised his left hand confidently, the Infinity Gauntlet shone with a strong light, and he was confident in Tang Feng. Really naive confidence. Wait a minute, I hope you don't cry. I'm going to beat you into a dog. Tang Feng twisted his neck, clenched his fists, made a creaking sound, and said weakly. Chapter 77, Serious Death Blow. The 6 infinity gems have been gathered together, and with the Infinity Gauntlet, they can exert the power of level 8. With Thanos' current level of strength, they can barely control the power of level 8. Therefore, Thanos was full of confidence and felt that Tang Feng was only level 7, so he could definitely defeat Tang Feng. He wants to prove to Death that he is the most trustworthy subordinate, and under Death's command, it is best if he is the only one. In fact, Death, as one of the 5 gods of creation, has long transcended the boundaries between men and women. He can be either a man or a woman, or neither a man nor a woman. In the Marvel world, in order to confuse Thanos and serve him, Death appears as a charming woman. That is what makes Thanos think that Death is a woman, and makes Death's woman fascinated by his appearance and become an obedient dog, who will always be manipulated and tricked by Death. Neither in this universe nor in the other parallel universes, Thanos could escape this fate. However, there are no absolutes in the world, and some fate of Thanos, in the end, is a fate that can get rid of the control of Death and live on its own. No matter what happens to Thanos' fate in the rest of the universe, Thanos' fate in this universe is miserable because he provoked Tang Feng. 09. Boom. 8th level power? It's so strong. Can you increase the power a little bit? It seems that it can't penetrate my defense. Tang Feng stretched out his hand in front, and the defensive shield formed by the powerful force of destiny was blocking Thanos' attack. The protective cover of the force of destiny has 9 colors, representing the power characteristics of everything, which is dazzling and beautiful like a rainbow. The energy column emitted by infinite gems is also a 6-color rainbow. I saw Thanos constantly exerting his strength, summoning the power of infinite gems. The 6 gems radiated a dazzling light, gathered 6 different powers, and gathered into a column of energy, which constantly rushed towards Tang Feng. However, Tang Feng also strengthened his strength, and the protective cover in front of him always blocked it steadily. How could this be? No, it's not like that. Thanos shook his head and shouted. The fact was different from what he expected. He thought that Tang Feng would be defeated as long as he attacked. Then, he could step on the fallen Tang Feng with one foot and wantonly mock him as a winner. As a result, Tang Feng blocked his attack with the strength of level 7. Fantasy. Shattered. Hey, this is during the battle. Concentrate. Otherwise, when you fall, You might not know what happened. Tang Feng's figure suddenly disappeared and appeared behind Thanos in an instant. He said softly and punched Zishujing in the face. Thanos flew out, which also made him focus again. He stopped at a distance of 20 to 30 meters, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with the back of his hand, glared at Tang Feng fiercely, and punched him. The power gem on the Infinity Gauntlet burst out with strong fluctuations. It's a powerful punch. Weakened, as soon as Tang Feng pointed it out, he pressed it against Thanos' fist. Something unexpected happened, and the huge number of fists was blocked. The power of the reality gem? Thanos was shocked. Tang Feng said that he weakened, and the power of his fists weakened greatly, just like what the law said, and it was also similar to the reality gem. Do you know what fate is? It's the power that represents everything. Feel my power. Tremble. Ignorant purple sweet potato essence. 99 Look, it's the power of time. Tang Feng flew into the air, looked at Thanos, snapped his fingers, and said coldly, rewind is to rewind Thanos time, back to youth, back to childhood, and even before he was born, and finally completely disappear. It's really the power of time, but I have it too. Give me a stop. Thanos felt that his own time was rapidly reversing. He took a deep breath and used the power of the time gem to stop the time reversal. Space annihilation. Seeing that Thanos had dealt with the time in reverse, Tang Feng leisurely used the next move. The invisible space is actually presented. The space around Thanos breaks like a mirror, revealing a deep black hole that wants to suck Thanos in. Close it for me. 99 Thanos withstood the destructive force and suction force when the space was annihilated and shattered, and even restored the shattered space. He didn't have time to take a breath, and then Tang Feng's attack came again. Mental shock, soul extraction. This time, Tang Feng made two big moves in succession. First, he used his mental shock to attack Thanos' mind, and then he used his soul extraction to extract his soul. Tang Feng almost succeeded. But unfortunately, Thanos, who possesses infinite gems, is not so easy to solve. Seeing that half of the soul was extracted, infinite gems finally burst into powerful power, overcoming the crisis, and making the soul return. The last punch is power. Open your eyes and see what power is. After Tang Feng finished speaking, he wrapped his fist around his waist and landed in front of Thanos, punching him seriously. This is a serious series. A confident punch. Taking strength as the foundation, with reality, space, time, mind, and soul as branches, the fist of supreme power is integrated into one. Reality erases existence. Space has a powerful destructive power. Time erases time from its existence. Mind erases thought, and soul erases the essence of the soul that belongs to living beings. Such diverse forces converged into force, and a 040 killing blow erupted. It turns out that this is the use of 6 infinity gems. It turns out that this is the real 8th level. Thanos saw the punch coming. His heart was faint, compared to Tang Feng's ingenious use of strength. His method of use was simply too rough. If it is said that the 6 infinity gems in their use they only have the most basic power, about 50%, that is, they have not exerted their full strength, so the full play is 100%. Moreover, there is actually a gap, that is, Tang Feng's current limit uses to combine the signature power of the 6 infinity gems to burst out the limit, which is 100%. More than 300, fighting with 300% of the power and 50% of the power will definitely destroy the dead. Let Thanos resist with all his strength, and still end up being killed. Tang Feng's fist stretched forward. Thanos had already faded into ashes, and the area behind Thanos was empty. If you look at it from a high altitude, you will find that a large area of the surface has been destroyed, which is appalling. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.